This conference will now be recorded.
Oh, I just so love it when we can get the recording to start right at 10 o'clock and I see everybody here. We're just all dressed up and ready to go. I'm going to click through just a couple of slides and then I'm going to get Dave. Spoiler alert, Dave was the guy that admitted to being a macho stud propeller head. So I'm going to get him to drive, but I'm going to make sure between the two of us that we don't go racing off just because he knows where buttons are and whatever. But you'll see every button that we pick, and we're going to make sure that everybody can follow along today. So first couple of slides I already showed you in the last presentation, and I'll just remind everybody the space bar probably works as a walkie-talkie mic thing. You can click it and unmute, and you can click it again and mute. If you leave yourself muted, the recording will be quieter, but please pop in as soon as you have a question or something you need help with. Also, I've seen caller one show up from time to time. That phone number's there. It's just a reminder if your headset or your microphone don't seem to be working, you can also call in. So this morning we're going to model our sprinkler system, and that's like the guts of everything we're wanting out of Revit. But I've broken it down into three areas. We're going to do some one-time setup. Um, that one time is per version of Revit. So the setup we do for Revit 2024, we'll need to open 2025 and we'll need to go through that setup again. So keep track of these slides and you can refer back to them when you switch to another version of Revit. All the time we're working on that setup, the background is going to be blue, and you can kind of keep track of where we're at in class because at the bottom I've got one-time setup blue, a little bar there that shows blue, and then when we switch to talking about setting up or getting started on a project, so kind of one time per project, the background's going to change to yellow, and you can remind yourself that we've done the one-time setup and that we're headed toward creating the sprinkler system. The new project setup kind of has a checklist of the things you want to think about when you're setting up a project. And I said for AutoCAD backgrounds, and that checklist is going to be exactly the same if you're working with Revit backgrounds. The only switch is ACAD becomes Revit, and you'll be linking or externally referencing a Revit model instead of an AutoCAD background. So that checklist is going to be good for all the stuff we talk about. For every project that you do, whether it's an AutoCAD background or a Revit background. And again, that's once per project. You sometimes work on projects that only last a few days, some a few months, some a few years. Once at the beginning, you need to go through that checklist. And then we're going to get down to the brass tacks and actually create a sprinkler system model today. And then Thursday, we're going to go get that on a sheet of paper. We'll come back later and do calcs and listing and other cool stuff. So I think I'm going to switch to the next slide, and then I'm going to switch to Dave and get him to show that on his screen using that PowerPoint. Let me ask, please speak up if you had any question about what I sent out this morning. A zip file, and I really meant for you to extract the contents of that zip file to your C drive. So if you open up the zip file, there was an HES, grab HES and drag it onto the C, or right click on it and say copy, then go to the C drive, the root directory, and right click and say paste. Did anybody have any difficulty doing that?
I did it just fine.
Super. So Dave, I'm going to make you the presenter. Yep, and Dave and I cheated and we practiced this a little bit on Tuesday, so we're both hoping this goes smooth. And in the meantime, while you're waiting for Dave and I to get set up, I'm going to recommend to everybody that you go ahead and open whichever version of Revit you're using, 23, 24, 25, or 26. Dave already has Revit open. And Dave, can you also open the PowerPoint, not the, well, the PowerPoint PDF, the PDF that I sent out this morning?
Getting there. Where did I put it?
Well, it should be in C, HES, basic
Yeah.
training.
Oh, that's right. HES. Okay. Did I not pull that one over?
And
Or there it is. I did move it. I was looking in the wrong spot.
okay. And this will be different from what you're used to doing. I'll be willing to bet um, that I'd like to have you use one screen, and we're going to flip back and forth between Revit and the PDF, Revit and
Okay.
PDF.
Yep.
So that way our recording will show the slides and what we're covering, and then we'll go do it. Then we'll go show the next slide and what we're covering, what we're going to do to do it. Um, and everyone else, if you find that CHES basic training, it's online basic training. There's not too many folders in your HES. If you find that, um, you can open that PDF and put it on one of your other screens if you've got more than one screen. If you have only one screen, you can flip back and forth like Dave and I are going to do. Dave, I'm not seeing that PDF yet. Are you still looking for it?
Is it? Am I not sharing my screen? No, you're not. Maybe I'm sharing Revit and not my screen.
Ah, yes, yes, that's it. So I'll invite you again. I think I have to invite you to have you reshare.
I think is it
You
working
got
now?
it?
Is it
Excellent,
working now?
perfect. That's
Okay.
it. Okay, so
And
we
then
were on slide 6. And slide 6 says the first thing we want to do is rig it up so that when we start a new project, we're going to start with a Hydratec Imperial template. In AutoCAD, you always start with a template. It's kind of set. You might not even be thinking about it, but anytime you start a new project, you got a new template. A template has in it, like in it may have some layers set up, it may have some sheets set up. Um, it may have some blocks already in it, and that same kind of stuff is in a Revit template. We're going to set it up so that we're using that. So um, let's let's sneak back to um, let me just read what's on this side. It says set up the default template. Use file options, file locations plus to go find this template. So Dave and I are going to go do that. Can you get Revit up on the screen for us there? Fantastic. And then we're going to file is in the yeah. I want to
sorry.
switch back and forth here. This is the most likely opening screen, and there are two buttons in the way upper left-hand corner. And if you click either on that backwards arrow or on the other of the two buttons, I think the R button will get you. I lied. So the R button gets you back to the home screen, and that little file button gets you to the ribbons screen. And then we're going to click on File, the very first ribbon button, and we're going to click on Options. And in options, we're going to go to file locations, and we're going to pick that. There's two green plus signs, but the one we want to pick is at the top half there. So we're going to click that green plus sign. And then we're going to drive to CHES, Hydratec for Revit, Data, Families, 20, you're on 2024. Okay.
Yeah.
Now the one we want is in there, but Dave, just to get everybody caught up, if you click on
Mhm.
that look in, the pull down for look in says 2024 right now. Just click on that down arrow there. So hold
Oh,
it there a second. So
yeah.
everybody can see we're in C, HES, Hydratec for Revit, data, families, 2024. And obviously, David, you're using 2026, so you drive to there. Yep. Let me get a yeah, David.
Yeah, I'm getting emails like left and right. I missed all that. Um, am I supposed to be doing exactly what he's doing?
You are
Yes.
too. And if you're not doing it now, you're going to be lost the whole rest of the day.
Oh Lord. All right.
I'm there.
John, you're there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Um, Stick your head out the window and tell David's boss to leave him alone for the next 3 hours. Tell him he's shutting Outlook down. Okay. Um, so then we're gonna go find in this list the one that says HydroCAD Imperial 2024 1125. I think it's the one all the way on the bottom there, David.
That's
No,
metric
yeah,
imperial.
there's
Yeah.
you want the one in the middle that says Imperial. So we're clicking that, we're picking open, and I think David might have done this before because it looks
I
like
did it for another one. I think it was the other
the older
imperial
one.
template. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So cool. So that one we just put in, after we clicked it, we used the up arrow to move it all the way to the top of the list. And then we're going to pick OK. Did anybody have any question or problem doing that? Then we're going to pick OK, and we're going to sneak back to slide 7 in the PowerPoint. Nice. And slide 7 just reminds us not just to put it in there, but to move it to the top. And then we're going to go to slide 8 that says we want to use, we want to check it. Al's got about 50 rules of programming, and I can only ever remember 3 at a time. So my first rule of programming used to be, so I have 50 rules. I've got rule 1, rule 2, rule 3, and then the fifth third rule. Uh, I just keep making up more third rules. First rule used to be, if you of programming, don't do any. Go find something that works like you want and change it around and make that work. And then the second rule used to be, if you don't check it, it don't work. And I found that to be even more useful than the first rule. So that's my number one rule of programming, which works for Revit using, which works for AutoCAD using, which works for auto mechanics. If you don't check it, it don't work. So we're about to check it. So we're going to go to, in Revit, we're going to go to start a new project, and um, under new, and then it comes up with project, and just look at the pull down there. You can see those other, the templates that came out of the box are there: Imperial Multidiscipline and Metric Multidiscipline. And then David just added the 1125 one, and previously he was looking over the work we had done before and added that 230705 one. So John, your start a new project now starts with that template.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. That just makes life a whole lot easier. New project, it's off to a good start. You're starting at
Yep.
a a known place. So we're going to pick OK. And this template has in it a grid A and a grid 1 and a section line. And besides that, it also has some sheets and some families and some schedules and stuff. And right now, David's screen shows us a nice, great big drafting area, but I don't see a project browser or a properties box.
Yeah, I got a second screen, so.
Okay, and you're able to pull that over, and
Yep.
I'll point this. You don't have to change yours, David, but most everybody out of the box has got a panel down the side like you've got, and the top half of it is the project browser, and the bottom half of it is the properties. And
Mhm.
David's is set up so that he has both, but there's a little tab at the bottom to switch between them. Someone have a question?
Yeah, I sent you an email a couple days ago about the changes that the fitter had made on site. I needed an approval on that, please, so I can contact SFD and
Oh,
let them know.
David, you didn't get your boss to leave you alone.
No, because we're adding sprinkler heads, so I just needed to make sure that you were okay with that addition, and that I'm going to be contacting SFD about this.
No, who is that? John? Michael?
Not me.
I sent it on Tuesday.
Looks like Michael. You might not be muted here.
It's Michael.
Yeah. Okay, I muted Michael. I love it. We're real designers doing real stuff, getting beat up all the time by the field. So we can all feel at home. So David, can you verify for me you found the project browser and the
No, I'm already behind, so just don't worry about me.
Yikes.
I'll catch you.
I'm gonna watch you guys and follow along.
I'm going to catch him up, Alan.
Okay. Good. And you've got the properties box and the project browser.
I do. I don't have the grid lines.
So that's the reason we came here, was to check this. So if you don't have the grid lines, then I don't feel like you got to start with the template. So can you pick do you have a fire protection floor plan tab, or you still have a blank nothing?
I've got floor plans, fire protection. It's
interesting.
It took me down to fire protection floor plan, but no grid lines.
John,
Can you do a zoom extent? Maybe you're
yeah.
somewhere.
Somebody tell me where zoom extent is.
Z.
Just double click.
Oh, just type it. Okay.
ZA.
Yeah, nothing.
Okay, I'm going to make you the presenter, John.
Okay.
And you don't want to share Revit. You want to share your screen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see.
I'm just trying to test my microphone. Can anyone hear me?
We can.
Okay. I've been having a lot of issues with GoTo this morning, but I am finally in.
Super. Good deal. So pick the X next to 3D fire protection. At the top of the drafting area there, right there, pick that X. Okay, and now do new ...
Should be okay, correct?
Well, I feel like you shared Revit. You didn't share the screen because you picked new and we didn't see anything happen.
Oh. Okay, hold on. Invite me again, I guess.
I'll do that.
I'm sorry.
No worries. And we can go we can take forever on this first few steps just to get us sort of in the groove here. And it's worthwhile, so that, give me a second. I'm making me the presenter for just a second, and then I'm going to switch and make you the presenter, John. Yes.
Okay.
And I think you're looking for the screen in the upper left-hand corner, I think is where it says share screen. Yeah, I think that's it. Now, you have two screens, And I think what we're seeing is the one with the go-to meeting on it. So it's probably the other screen that we want you to share.
Or
Yes,
just
that's
move
correct.
Revit over to that one real quick.
Yeah, you just,
That's
yeah,
what I'm
move
trying
Revit.
to do. Yep. Can you see it?
The file we're opening is the HCAD Imperial, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
No, I'm
You
going to
see my-
cycle that. I think I'm going to cycle it once more, John. So I'm going to become the presenter. Okay, now I'm going to invite
Yeah.
you to be the presenter.
Yeah, I picked a top left-hand choice, but
Well, it might be the one next to that. There's like, you've got two screens.
I've got 3 actually, and
Okay,
it's
so
shared.
pay
Yeah.
attention to which one of those screens you share. It's not an application that says Revit. It's one of your 3 screens,
Okay.
but the one that Revit is open on.
Now you're going to see one big screen. So,
Fair enough. Fair enough.
yep. Yep.
So click on New.
You should have seen it pop up there.
I see 3 screens, left
Yep.
to right.
Center screen is where Revit is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see the pop up. Yeah.
And that says HCAD Imperial 2024. That's the right template. So go ahead and pick open. All right. And it says 3D fire protection. Okay.
Right.
So and you have what I was trying to describe, the properties box on the top and the project browser on the bottom of that panel on the left.
Correct.
And do you see where it says fire protection? Then it says floor plans. Then it says FP fire protection floor plan. Double click
Yes, sir.
that.
There we go.
There
All
we
right.
go.
Darn thing. I have no idea why the template came up in the 3D view instead of the plan view.
Yeah.
But now we found it.
Okay.
And, when you did that, John, do you see there are now 2 tabs at the top of your
I
screen?
do. Yes. Yeah, I
If
see
you
that.
close that other tab,
There we
and
go.
I'm not going to have you do it, but if you close this tab, then you'd be closing the project. It's like, oh, last one out, shut the door, right?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So
All right. I'm tracking now. I'm sorry.
no worries. And I'll bet you there's a quiet guy in the background had exactly that same problem. And more than likely anybody using 2026. So Dave, let me make you the presenter again.
My 2026 worked fine. I think it's a John error.
And Cody is no longer with the company.
Freedom.
Okay, Dave, we're back to you. Excellent. Give me 1 second. And we were talking about slide 8, which said start a new project and use that. And this is what we are supposed to get. So let's slide down to slide 9. And we want to check out that we have those 3 ribbons. And I might I'll do half of a roll call on that. If you just show us the Revit project again, there are those 3 ribbons that we want. Brian, have you got that on your screen, those 3 ribbons?
Yes, sir.
All right. How about you, Cody? You got those 3 ribbons?
Roger.
All right. And Philip, you too?
Sure do.
All right. Then I'm going to kind of just point out and skip slide 10, but let's just go look at slide 10. It says, if you didn't, this is just a reminder, leave Revit, go find CHES, Hydratec for Revit, right click, on the Hydratec Revit add-in assistant, run as administrator. You'll get the chance to check mark, check mark, check mark. David's showing off, and it's a good thing. That's nice. Go ahead and click on that, or right click and run as administrator. There's no harm here.
Hey, Alan, a quick thing I could bring up about this, if I may.
Yeah.
When I downloaded the version 25 that you had sent in the original file, I found out
Yes.
that was not compatible with the Revit 2026, and I had to call
Yes.
the support to get the version 26 for that.
And I think you might have wound up talking to Mike Johnston.
Probably, yeah.
And he visited with me with that problem, and he's going to have words with the guy that does the install. But to get it straightened out for the future, in the immediate, it's on me.
Oh yeah, I was just trying to make sure you were aware of it as well. So that's all.
I am aware, but let me just point out to everybody, because this is a 2026 thing. In the immediate, you need to have the 25 install, and you need the 26 update. And I should put that in the email so that you have both of them. The latest version, the 26 version, is one install, one program installed, and that one program works for 23, 24, 25, and 26. So it's not like, ooh, I'm using 25, I better not go to 26. Nope, you should go ahead on to 26. I'll make my email better, and Mike's going to get the posted install to be the 26, not the 25. Thanks for pointing that out, though.
It took me a while to figure out what was going on with that.
Because here, and this reminded you of it, because all of those were grayed out.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like I could see this right here, but I couldn't move them to add, and that was the big issue. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thanks again for reminding us of that. So just go ahead and cancel this, Dave, and let's go on to slide 11. And we're gonna do an actual functional test. It's not like looking and say, look, there it is. We're gonna actually run something, and the setup button looks like the same thing on all three menus, but it actually does slightly different stuff. So we're gonna exercise all three of those. So over here, you pick HydratCAD, and then you pick the setup button. I'm a little disappointed in this. You get a little spinny wheel, or you get the hourglass, and then nothing else. Now, we're not going to do this, but I want to point it out. When you pick the setup button, it says, ooh, there's a new version available. I mentioned this during our kickoff meeting, but I want to mention it again now. If you click that, no harm, Dave, go ahead and click that. Here's the message that I said insults you, and it says, your version. No, it just says click to upgrade. So click on that HydratCAD folder. Right, yep. And go ahead and click on that link if you didn't get there. And this looks like the format of the stuff that I sent you this morning. So you can go ahead and just tell it about traffic lights. Yeah. And you can go ahead and download. It's 500 megabytes. We're going to cross our fingers that doesn't take an hour and a half. I'm going to suspect we can just leave that be. It's not going to be an hour and a half. It's going to be 2 or 3 minutes. But that's not upgrading you, Dave. That's just getting the file onto your downloads folder.
Yeah.
And if you want to upgrade, then you need to leave Revit, extract that zip file, and then run the setup button that's in there.
Setup. Okay.
We don't need that for what we're doing this morning. why don't
No.
we just minimize this? You don't close it, but just minimize it, and that'll be downloading in the background. I want to tell you what would happen if you ran the update. Hover over the help button.
This one.
That one, yep. And it says you're on version 24.1.4.004. And that update said something about version 26. And I wonder what's the difference? What happened since 24.1.004 and now? If you do the pull down for help and go to version history
I'm gonna
and
click it.
just on that, yep. That says the current version is 26.1.0, and that was released in April. And I'm just reading down a little, and it says you'll see that by that red update available thing. April 30th, 26.1.0 general, the valve selector, more info can be found under the help about what the valve selector changes were. There was a change to RTS points. RTS is Robotic Total Station, otherwise known as Trimble, often called a Trimble machine. So there was changes to that. Spacing and layout we're going to use today within the next 20 minutes, I think. So we fixed a crash when the head selector output could not be found, and it fixed a crash when the head family symbol could not be loaded. So if we crash during spacing and layout, I'll say, I lied to you, Dave. We need to run the update.
Okay.
But just scroll down now for a while, because you see on March 10th was 25.2. Scroll down some more. On January 20th was 25.1.06. Scroll down some more. Some more. Okay, slow down. There. Oh, you just went by it. Okay. So on December 4th, we posted, no, 25. You're still on 24 something. You're getting gypped here, Dave. And maybe I'll quit there, but you get the idea. A
Yeah.
lot has happened since 24.1.004. And
Yep.
Al's going to be brave and say, today's lesson ought to work anyway. But this is legitimate motivation to close Revit at some point later today, run that update, and come back in and make sure you're on 26.
Okay, so run the update after today. That what
Yeah.
we just downloaded. Okay.
Yeah, after our class today.
Yep.
Fair enough. But you can close this, and I'm bragging here. You know that there's an update. You know what's in the update, and you know what you're on right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's your choice when you want to do that. We're not going to force
Yeah.
it on you. Gee, this thing was working yesterday. I'm in the middle of a really big project, and the damn thing updated, and now it's not working.
Yeah, it's not working. Yeah, that's how it usually goes.
Okay, so that's HydratecCAD setup. Now let's go to HydratecCalc ribbon and pick the setup button again. I kind of expect we'll get the same red thing.
Yep.
But it's also okay if you run setup and nothing happens. But you should get a spinny wheel to see that it's thinking anyway. And then we're going to go to Hydra list and run the setup button.
Now mine actually didn't do this last time I tried.
What did it do instead?
I think a pop-up came
and said it can't find something, or you don't have access or something.
I think, yeah, something along those lines. Okay. Still.
So interesting. It decided to double check your security, that you're authorized to use the software, and that's taking longer than I hoped. Dave, it might say you don't have access to Hydra List.
There it goes.
You have it. Okay. You are not currently authorized. All right. Um, we can check, but I'm thinking that your license was for the engineers pack, which was CAD and
Probably.
Calc, and there was no need for the list. I will make a note to send you a temporary authorization, which will be good for 30 days, which will give you
Get
access
the
to the
training.
listing for during class.
Yeah.
So send Dave.
Al, quick thing. I'm with Dave. I have the same message. We actually
Okay.
probably have the same license because we're at the same company. So
Okay,
Yeah, same.
Drew, I'll send that to you also then.
I'm getting that message too, Alan,
On listing, huh?
on everything.
On everything. That's different.
I got it on HydratCalc. Let me see. I didn't try the HydratCAD.
Okay. So
Yeah,
Dave,
same thing. No,
David, that's you that's getting that error?
yes, sir.
Okay.
On all
Okay, so I'm gonna take a second out. You guys won't see me doing this because Dave's sharing his screen, but I'm gonna send you an email, David,
of them. Okay.
that has a temporary authorization for all three of those. I'll send Dave and Drew out later because we're not going to use HydroList at all today. But you'll need. You won't go anywhere without it. You won't go anywhere with none of them, Dave. David, so I want to get that sent to you. Give me a.
I don't know why John and Cody are okay because we got the same thing.
We'll sort that out later.
Okay.
The immediate is make sure you're good for today. So I'm close. I got to make sure David is got in a good place there. Close that. And Revit training. Got it. Mailings, edit list. Nobody. David. David, Dave, and Drew. It's simple as oops. It might be simple as, let me. Where is, no, I gotta put this one and this one. Dave. Okay, so I got David and Dave and Drew. Good to go. I was thinking it was as easy, but it's taking an extra 30 seconds. I'm doing all three of them right now. Is there anybody else that got a denial out of that? We'll take quiet as good.
No, Alan, but mine says that not only is there a new version available, but a new process database is available.
Oh, that for the new process database, just say yes, and that happens like almost instantaneously. So no reason not to just say yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
And good. Not Brian, not Michael. David, Dave, and Drew. Okay. Finish, send. Should be on its way. And Dave and Drew, you don't need to, you can do that at 2 o'clock this afternoon or something. You don't need to do that now. But David, you might as well do it now because you can't go anywhere without that, without what's in those instructions. So I'm going to close that. Save changes. I'm going to make this bigger again. And you can just pick OK to that then, Dave, and we'll be back in business. So we're still in the one-time setup stuff. And it's much better to discover these problems when you say, hey, I'm getting my computer set up than to get a little ways and then get tripped up on this. So we're doing the right thing, checking this stuff out. Let's go check back in with our slideshow and go on to slide 12. And slide 12 it says timeout. we just had a timeout, but during this timeout, I want to make sure that we're all on the same page for how I'm communicating to Dave. And as I'm communicating to Dave, I want everybody to follow along pretty well. All of the make it go buttons are in the ribbons at the top of the application, of the Revit application. And that ribbon panel, that whole ribbon across the top, is kind of broken into 3 parts. There's the ribbon names. The ribbon names include annotate, file, annotation, structure, Revit, and then the buttons themselves are the biggest part of this, the middle part, and those buttons include things like pretty sprinklers and tag sprinklers and supply point. And each one of the ribbons, there are 18 ribbons. Each one of the ribbons has got nominally 20 buttons, and that's where I came up with 400 buttons. To make finding one of 20 buttons easier, Revit put below the ribbon buttons a little section called panels, and it breaks the ribbons up into panels so that on this screen that I'm showing in slide 15, the tools panel is those buttons on the left. And the design panel is the next 6 or 8 buttons near the middle. And the help panel is the one all the way on the right. The panels do absolutely nothing. They are simply there to group buttons, but it makes it easier for me to say, find the hangers button. It's on the hangers button is on the HydratecForRevit ribbon in the design panel. And now we're down to 6 buttons. It's one of those, and it's the hangers button. So Dave's doing a nice job of moving his mouse around to show you ribbons, panels, buttons. So I've got a quiz for you. Let's go to slide 13. And Brian, are you with us here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this would be a good time for your mic to not work because then I'd move on to somebody else. But you're stuck. You're stuck. How many panels are on the HydratecForRevit ribbon? And for me to sort of follow along, I'm going to go back. I'm going to have, we're looking for how many panels are on the HydratecForRevit ribbon. Dave, can you bring up the Revit application again? And go to the HydratecForRevit ribbon. And And Brian, how many panels are there?
It's just the one total, right? It's got all the.
No.
No.
And Dave is cheating for us. He's hovering over the word tools and then design. Do you see those little words underneath?
Yeah, I'm looking at.
And yours doesn't have words underneath there.
Oh yeah, it does. It's got tools,
Okay.
design, annotate, modify, coordinate, and help.
Okay, now count them.
Okay. 6.
Okay, so that's the right answer. Gold star. But it's worth slowing down on this, because I'm going to say, Dave, push the button that's on the HydroList button in the modify panel. That should get you down to, and that should totally screw you up because there is no modify panel.
There it is.
Okay. Cody, don't pretend your mic doesn't work. I heard you before.
3.
How many buttons are on the HydratecForRevit coordination panel?
3.
3. That's a good answer. That's a correct answer. But I've had some people tell me 6. If you look, the first one says find clashes, Cody. And there's actually 3 buttons hiding on that picture.
Well, then that technically counts as 4 in the first drop down. Then you have 5, and then camera has more.
So 6 would be it. I'm the one that says find clashes has a little triangle for a pull down. There are 3.
So the main button counts as 1, 3 below it. Then you got view clash, and then you got camera and 2 below that. So I disagree.
Cody,
If you want to be pedantic, I'll go further.
Find clashes is the same button, so it's the same button twice. So it's technically 1.
Right. There are really 3 buttons hiding on that first picture. And if you pick import clashes, go ahead and pick the import clashes button there. I don't think anything will happen. And so just close that window that came up. Do you see? Well,
it didn't change. I expected it to change too.
Yeah, I think maybe if it had been successful, it would have changed.
Yeah,
it's like the last one that was there. All right, so that's another hiding thing in that. But 3 was a good answer, Cody. Gold star for you also. John, we've had you pop in before. How many buttons are on the annotate dimension panel?
it appears to be 3.
Annotate is a ribbon.
You want to go here?
Oh,
Yes.
you want me? I'm sorry.
So
I
on the annotate ribbon, there's a dimension panel.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, 9.
Okay, there's a bunch. But still, like on the annotate thing, there might be, 30 buttons or 40 buttons?
Yeah, there's quite a few.
So by saying annotate dimension panel, we're getting you down to 9 buttons.
Right.
Last question, Philip, can you tell us what is the keyboard? This is a ringer because we didn't even talk about this. But if you find the annotate dimension aligned button and hover over it.
I like my own keyboard shortcuts, so it might be different than what you're thinking.
It might, and in a few minutes you're going to say merge. You're not going to say overwrite.
It's DI.
But DI, that's the shortcut. Now, while we're there, Dave, if you go to the HydratecForRevit ribbon and the design panel and hover over the spacing and layout tool. What's the keyboard shortcut for that one?
I like my own shortcut. Sorry, there's not one for that one. in mine.
There's not one for that one. And you haven't had, I'm hoping you haven't had this long enough that you went through all 40 Hydratec buttons and made shortcuts.
Well, yeah, as I use the buttons, I'll make my own shortcuts.
Uh,
So, I mean, I know it's pretty easy to make them. So
okay, so I'm going to have you export your shortcuts before we do the next step, and then you can import them again when we're done. But I
yeah,
wrote up all my instructions today that says type PI, type SX, type
okay, all right.
whatever. So that's our first trip up of working with a macho stud propeller head. All right, so let's go on to slide 14. And cool, we do this one in a hurry. We've already noted the existence or the absence of keyboard shortcuts. So let's go to step 15 and follow some instructions here. This is to get keyboard shortcuts on all those Hydratec buttons. So it says we're going to type KS, which for most of us is the keyboard shortcut for keyboard shortcuts, unless Dave messed that up already.
No, that one I like.
Okay. And everybody close your ears for a minute. Dave, I want you to pick export ...
I already did that this morning, expecting this to happen.
Okay. And so everyone else is going to, I just want to point out, back up a step, Dave, close this. Look at that list of commands there. And you see the scroll bar on the right? It's the tiniest little bit. That scroll bar goes forever. I'm claiming there's over 400 entries in here. And you may want shortcuts for some and may not want shortcuts for others. The screen full that's on the screen right now has no shortcuts. Just scroll down a little ways, Dave. There. So now the screen full, the word offset has got a shortcut, and the align has a shortcut. So you can assign some, and you don't have to assign them all. It would be very tedious to assign every button that you use a shortcut. So a shortcut for that is we're going to pick on that import button, and we're going to use the File Explorer to drive our way to CHES, HydratecForRevit, Data, Setup, and we're going to use the most recent file in here, that one that says keyboard shortcuts, and click
that one right there. Or?
That's the one. That's the most recent one, and then open. And I'm going to have most everybody consider picking overwrite. You'll get what Al likes for shortcuts. I'm going to tell Dave to pick merge, and Dave will get a lot of Al shortcuts, but he won't lose any of the ones he created. And then, and that's interesting, isn't it, Dave? Copy has C, CO, and CC.
Three of them,
That's a little. You'll go back to your shortcuts. It's a little annoying. It's a little annoying when there's two or more shortcuts because it says which one do you want or something, or if two different ones have the same shortcut. But we should be good to go now. So
we'll be fine today.
We'll pick OK and go find slide 16. And the background changed. We're theoretically 1/3 of the way done in 1/3 of the time. So fingers crossed, we're doing pretty good. And this next batch of slides, the yellow ones, are getting a new project set up. And I'm going to read the whole checklist here. It says to start a new project using AutoCAD backgrounds, in big letters, I say open and verify each background. And then the next thing on the checklist will be start a new project. And then the next thing on the checklist will be link or insert the AutoCAD backgrounds, and then you can get started making your sprinkler system. But the first step is you're not going to draw the warehouse. You're not going to draw the Empire State Building. You're going to use someone else's work, insert it into your project, and work on top of that. And my advice here is don't use their work until you open it and look at it all by itself, so that you don't say insert the Empire State Building and all you get is one X that says not found. Well, did it not find it because it was empty, or did it not find it because it put it in a strange place? You need to look at the raw material before you use it. So we're going to look at the floor plans, the sections, and the details. I think there's a slide for each one of them, but let's go look at the floor plan for our warehouse. Can you get to the Windows File Explorer and go drive to CHES, Hydratec, Revit Online Basic Training, AutoCAD Backgrounds? And I'm sort of crossing my fingers, Dave, that you can just double click on that 60 by 80 foot warehouse only and have it open it in AutoCAD.
Yeah, it will.
Now, while that's opening, I'm going to advise against doing this with RVT files. Drawing files are generally, you'll get away with it because AutoCAD is compatible forwards and backwards. So if you have a newer version of AutoCAD, it'll open the older drawing. If you have an older version of AutoCAD, it'll open that drawing. Is it opening AutoCAD, or did you not double click yet?
It's opening on another screen.
Okay. And we could almost use, and maybe for the others, we will simply use the thumbnail. The thumbnail says that's some blue stuff and some green stuff and some red stuff, and I could believe that it's the shape of a 60 by 80 foot building.
Yeah, let me get it now. And every time I open it, it opens somewhere else on another window. So.
All right. But the important thing is to open it so that you can say, when I try to insert that, I know what I'm supposed to be getting.
Yep.
You could also beat this up while you were here. If you wanted to, you had this open, you could delete all the toilets, or you could change the color of the lights or something. But first thing on the checklist, if you're going to insert this into your project, make sure you open it and see what's in it. And since AutoCAD is open, I'm suspicious. Slide 17 says look at the sections. And if you went back to the File Explorer and just double clicked on the one that says sections,
it's a lot faster this time.
May come out a lot faster. Oh, way faster. And so that, I'm telling you, that's a section through the building lengthwise and a section through the building widthwise. So we've got an idea what's in that one. And then while we're at it, let's say we're doing slide 18, which is details, and just double click on that 2D details. So there's a drawing of some 2D details. All right, that's step one, and that's all that we needed to get out of that. So you can close AutoCAD. And let's get on to slide 19. And that says, okay, now that you know what you're going to put in there, we're going to start a new project. I think we can skip this because we did start a new project. And we're going to use the template. That's what we did before. We used the template. So I'm claiming we can go on to slide 20. And it says, even though, and I'll point out, there's some schedules and there's some pipe types and there's some fittings that were in the template. There's always the chance that there's newer, better schedules, newer, better annotations in the toolbox, which literally, if we found something today that was a really great idea, I could put it in the toolbox tonight and you would have it tomorrow morning. You don't have to run a program update or wait for a download or anything. You just copy the toolbox and you get that new stuff. So we're going to do that to our project. Let's go back to Revit. And in the project browser, do you see there's some views, and after views is legends, and then after legends is schedules? Hit the plus sign next to schedules. So there's currently a little over a half a dozen schedules in here. I pick on that particular one just to point out, Dave, the toolbox has a lot of schedules in it, and those will get added when we download the toolbox.
Okay.
There are also potentially some sheets. There are some families. There are annotations. Those things might get added also. So we're going to go to the Help pull down. And the second button on that Help pull down is Import from the latest toolbox. And if this is the first time you've picked that button, it's going to look at your computer and it's going to look in the cloud and say, ooh, there's a better one in the cloud. I'm downloading that to the computer. The one in the cloud is always created in the oldest version supported of Revit. So I don't have to make a 23, 24, 25, and 26 one. I just make a 23 one and put that in the cloud. And then we download it, we pull it from the cloud onto your machine, and then if it's the first time, we're doing an update. But after we do the update, we're going to save it on your computer as the current the version 24 of the latest one. The next time you go to do the toolbox, Dave, it'll say, oh, I already got that one. It's already updated. And it'll just go into the dialog box that says, what do you want out of the toolbox? So this first time, it's slower than the next time and the next time until Al puts a new version of the toolbox up. Then you'll be hit for this cycle one more time to get that one.
If we do that update, that 26 version, will that come with all the new toolboxes or whatnot?
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
I'm going to say no. We would, because every time I made an addition to the toolbox, which could be daily, we'd have to make a new update.
Okay. All right.
Okay, cool. Here we are. So in the toolbox are fittings, pipes, flex pipes, annotations, groups, view templates, schedules, pipe settings. So there's lots of stuff in the toolbox. And you could selectively just go get the annotations. But typically I say just click all. We're going to click all, and that check marks them all. And we're going to pick continue, but not just yet. I want to show you something else. I showed you that help version history stuff, Dave, and made you feel like, yeah, you should get off 24.1.4 or something. Here, there's a button that says revisions. If you click that, then it brings up a list of the things that have changed in the toolbox. So it's way back in May. It's like a month and a half ago. I added some transparent HCAD tags. And obviously, I try and keep that description sort of cryptic to give you an idea what it is. But if you say, what's that about? If you click on video.
Let me click on it.
Yes. And you'll get treated to the sound that goes along with it. There you go. So I hear you giggling, and if anybody else clicked on it, they might giggle also, just because there's a overture, the William Tell overture to make you get excited about this thing. This is, so it's created a new set of tags to be used with 26.1 or higher, and 26.1 isn't out yet. But it's a way of us delivering the stuff that this tool is going to use. But typically this video is 3 to 5 minutes, and it gives you not just that it's there, but how to use it and why we did it and stuff like that. Good deal?
Yep.
We'll close that and close the revisions history, and then click on continue. And that'll go get new fittings. We had also in the lower left-hand corner said ignore, duplicate, or override. So if those transparent tags were screwed up in one version and I put newer ones in the next version, you could pick override and it would unscrew them up. If you leave it on ignore, it just says everything I've got is good. I like it. I don't want it messed with. Just add new stuff if you find it. And if I already have one, just leave it alone. And if you look in the project browser as this thing's going, in a moment, that list of schedules, I think, is going to get way longer. So we added a whole bunch of schedules. Also, this is just a Revit habit. If you import a schedule into an existing project, it opens that schedule. So now we have 2 tabs across the top, and there's no reason not to just close that schedule that showed up. And that'll get us back to the floor plan. So go ahead, yeah, pick the X on that. And
Hey, Alan,
go ahead.
I just wanted to let you know I did all those executable files you sent me, and I'm still not authorized. So I guess I'm just going to have to watch.
Well, let's just check one thing. You did all those executables. One of them
said to restart, so I restarted my computer, and
yeah,
still don't work.
But I want to try one thing before I dismiss you on that, and that's when you ran all those executables, you should have a HydratecForRevit application on your desktop.
Right.
Open that HydratecForRevit application.
Okay.
And if you look in the upper left-hand corner, it says you don't have anything. Permanent, none, temporary, none, like that, right?
Yeah, right.
Now, down in the middle of the bottom, it says add a new authorization. Click on that.
Activation code.
Okay. In the email I sent you is a big long number. You want to copy and paste that big long number into that activation code place.
Okay. Yeah.
And then give it your name and whatever else it's asking for.
Paste. Not properly formatted. Okay.
Okay. That
I see what it is.
Oh, you know why it's not properly formatted?
Yeah. Well, maybe not. Still not. There's something missing.
Okay. John, let's see. Dave and Drew are going to want to do this later, so it would be nice if they could see what this looks like. Let me see if I can make you the presenter.
Paste. Okay. Not properly formatted. That's what it keeps telling me.
Just one more time with me watching, okay? So I think I made you the presenter, and I need you to share your screen. Yes, no?
share button. It says share, but it's not highlighted for me to pick it.
All right. I'm making me the presenter, and I'm going to make you the presenter again. One more time, David. Make presenter. Okay.
Okay, there we go.
All right. So we're
Wrong
I don't.
screen.
Yeah. See if you can pull the Hydra key application over the top of that go-to thing. There it is. Okay. So that parentheses at the end,
Take it off.
yeah, it should end in 11. Okay. So I'm claiming that's the number.
There, now it's good. Now it's good.
So that's much rejoicing then.
Right.
Okay.
I'm
So
just wondering why I'm temporary because we paid for the Revit. I mean,
that's
right, I guess.
that's accounting stuff and installation stuff that we're not going to spend time during the class.
Sure.
We've got
Right.
30 days to figure that out, and we will get it worked out for you, right,
All right.
David? So Dave, I'm sending the presenter back to you. Good deal. And we're on slide 20. Let's talk about 21 just a little bit. I think we already did this. It just said
Yeah, we did.
select them all, then pick ignore. That means
Yep.
if you already have it, you'll keep it and then continue. And then we'll go on to slide 22. And it sort of timed out and said it's time to save, but we'll do a file save as. It's like we're set up ready to go. So file save as a project, and then you want to put it in that CHES online basic training folder, and I want to call it Dave 60 by 80 2024.
Can you say that? Oh,
Yep.
just call it what you say in the PDF. But put my
Yeah.
name.
Yeah. Your name, and then dash 60 by 80, and then dash 2024. Now, obviously, that's anything you want it to be, but
Yeah.
I'm making the point to everyone, if you include the Revit version in the name of your file, you won't get stuck opening with a newer or older version. You'll know which version of Revit to be using when you.
Revit online basic training.
Good. Then go ahead and pick save, Dave. And from now on, if it says, "Oh, do you want to save?" the answer is always yes. The question might say, "Do you want to risk getting all your work lost?" And the answer should then be no. Good. And I think that treats us to slide 23, which says, now that we have a sort of fully baked blank project, we want to go get a background to start working on. And we're going to make sure when we do this that we're on a view that's at the sort of starting level. And I should have pointed out when we were looking at the sections that the section said their floor was at 0, 0. And we could check our, oh, you still have it open. How nice. So their level 1, their floor is at 0, 0. And I'd like to check that our level 1 is also at 0, 0. if everybody else is starting at 100 feet, we ought to start at 100 feet. And down the road, if we coordinate with other people, we don't want to be, buried underground or floating in air or something. So in Revit, I want to check that our starting level is at 0, 0 also. So if you just double click on the bubble of that section, it'll take us to that section view. And that line all the way across the screen is the level, and it says level 1 at 0, 0. So that part's good. We can close the section, and back at the floor plan. The floor plan presumably is for level 1. We can double check it. If you go to the properties panel, this is the properties of that level. And it says that the associated level is level 1. So we're good to go. We're starting in the same place everybody else is. I can say that gives us permission to go on to slide 24. And in slide 24, we're going to say the insert ribbon, the link panel, we're going to click on link CAD, and then we're going to drive to see HES, Hydratec, basic training, AutoCAD backgrounds, and we're going to find that warehouse only guy, and then we're going to say okay. So back in Revit, we're going to go to the insert ribbon, we're going to go to the link panel, and we're going to find link CAD. One more second here. You close that. One more second. We have really two ways to put that CAD background into our plan. And in AutoCAD, you have two ways also. You can externally reference or you can insert. The word externally reference has been translated in Revit language to link. And insert a block or insert in Revit has been translated from AutoCAD into Revit as import CAD. So import, you're actually taking all the lines and circles and arcs and putting them in your project, just like inserting a block. I'm going to recommend that you stick with the link, which is the equivalent of that external reference. But I wanted to point out there's two ways to do this, and we're purposely doing the link / external reference. So go ahead and pick on that now, Dave. And that brings up a file explorer thing. And we're going to drive to see HES, online basic training, AutoCAD backgrounds. And that top one, 60 by 80 foot warehouse, we know what's in that. There's stuff at the bottom that I'm saying by default is all fine. And when we do the section view, we'll do that a little bit differently. But I will point out in the lower left-hand corner, there's a checkbox that says current view only. I don't want that checked. I want any place that I'm being able to see the ground floor that I see this background. When we do a section, I want to say I only want to see that section when I'm actually looking in that section, in that view. So we're just going to pick open. And we're expecting wonderful things to happen. I expect some blue stuff and some green stuff in the shape of a 60 by 80 foot warehouse. And wah, I don't see it. Let's just roll the mouse back so we zoom out. It wasn't so far out of bounds, but ZA, or Dave, you've got an even better way. Just double click on the view.
Double click the wheel on your mouse.
Oh, use your wheel and double click on it, and that'll zoom all. I knew that, but I don't use it, so I forget. But that's a cool way to see everything that's on the screen. Michael, are you with us?
I am.
We've got a choice here. We'd kind of like our stuff to line up with their stuff. I'd like your advice. Do you think it would be better to move our grid lines down to that building, or would it maybe be better to move the building up to our grid lines?
Move the grid lines to the building.
That's an A plus. No, that's an A. I'll give you an A plus if you can give me a good excuse why we should do that.
Because the other people drawing on this file
are likely down there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. A plus. So if you pick a crossing window that includes grid A, grid 1, and the section, we've made a selection, and by accident or by intent, when you make a selection, Revit automatically switches the ribbon to the modify ribbon. And on the modify ribbon in the modify panel is a four-way arrow. And if you hover over it, it says it's move. And if Dave types M, you'll get move. Yours might be different. But let's go use the ribbon and click on that four-way arrow. And then zoom in so you can pick right at the intersection, and that was natural. It highlights that you're at the intersection of A1. So click there and then zoom down to the building and find the intersection in the upper left-hand corner of the building. And click there. And what they called 4, we're calling 1. If you click on the 1 in the bubble, yeah, and click on it a second time, it should light up like it's going to let us type a new number.
Yeah.
And let's type 4 in there. And if you zoom out, Dave, our grid line 4 doesn't quite make it all the way through the building. So click on grid line 4, and there's a nice little round grip on the end of it you can use. I think it's called a shape handle, but we're clicking on that and just dragging it longer. And the A is fine the way it is, but I'll be super fussy and say we could make it a little bit shorter the same way we made the 4 longer. And I'm not going to bother with that section line right now, but we could make it wider also, but let's not bother with that. Instead, let's go on to slide 25, which we cheated and we already did. On Michael's advice, we moved the grid lines down to line up with our building. And I think that lets us go to slide 26. And woohoo, we're onto the green stuff. So the background changed. We've done our setup. Why don't we do a save, just because we've got a legitimate starting point, and then we'll get doing sprinklers. Would anybody like a 7-minute break before we start sprinklering this building?
Yes.
Yeah, I would appreciate it.
Okay, it's 11:23. Let's shoot for 11:30. We'll get started again. And I'll mute and I'll be back at 11:30. Okay, I'm back. David, you back?
Yeah.
Um, I that folder I sent you this morning that you downloaded the zip file and unzipped,
Mhm.
I just placed in that same folder, I placed a David 60 by 80 2023 Revit file. If you
Yeah.
copy that to your hard drive, you could open it, resave it at whatever version you're using, and then be caught up and follow along.
Well, I'm caught up with you. I got to where you're at.
Well, congratulations.
I just had to go through each slide one by one and get to this point.
Well, excellent. Um, another A plus.
All right. Thanks, Bill.
So, um, let's go on to we're on slide 26.
Hey, Alan, can I ask a question real quick?
You most certainly can.
I don't want to get too far off path here, but when I went to save as, it wouldn't let me select project.
Interesting. It wanted to be a template.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, he may have opened the template instead of.
Right.
Okay.
Um, so save it as a temp. If it only lets you save it as a template, save it as a template with Brian 60 by 80.
I'm
20,
using 2023. Yeah,
that 2023. Do that.
that's what I did.
Okay. Now close this. Like
Okay.
so that, and then do file new. And when it comes up and asks you what template, do browse and go find that Brian 60 by 80 2023 thing where you saved it.
Okay. Models go new.
Yes, models, new,
Okay.
and then go find CHES basic training, and you should see that template in there. Now, let me make you share your screen, Brian.
Yeah. There, I got it. So
You got it? And
yeah.
then
So open.
when you open it, then you should see your background in there.
Oh, just open it as project.
Yes?
Okay. All
Uh,
right.
no, no. I'm going to make you share your screen. The deal is this. You've created a template that already has an AutoCAD background in it. You want to start a new project using that template, and then you're going to save it as a project. But that's going to be easier if we do it together, Brian.
Okay.
Let me make you the presenter. And share your screen. Good. Good. So new and then browse and then CHES, Hydratec for Revit. That one. Yep. And okay. You're creating a new project.
Okay.
And right away, you're going to do a file save as, and you're going to save it as a project.
Hello.
Yep.
When I did the same thing. So when it's create new, it's project or project template again.
Create new, and then it comes up with a template, but you're going to
No, yeah, you find
browse
the file.
the
Yeah.
template that you saved.
Right, but then in the two circles, it's project or project template.
Project.
Thank you.
Yes. But get rid of the RTE off of the end there. There. Now you're saving it as a project. And while we're at it there, Brian, you probably recognize blah, 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 RTE is a Revit template.
Yeah.
RTV, RVT is a Revit project. Later today, Brian, you can go into File Explorer and erase that template.
Okay.
RTE one.
Will do.
Yeah. And I think the only place you went wrong is when we did file new, you did file open, and you found that template. And then because you opened a template and it insisted on you saving a template.
Okay. All right.
Maybe a little bit tentative right now, but I'm convinced, like tonight in the middle of the night, that'll click and you'll say, oh, that's what they were talking about. You're good to go.
All right. Thanks, sir.
You bet. Dave, headed back to you.
All right.
Make presenter. Yes. And we're going to start by looking again at slide 26. And that says we're going to put in one sprinkler. And there is a shortcut, SK. It's also on the systems ribbon under plumbing and piping or something. And it's a sprinkler button, but the shortcut is SK. So type SK. And before we click, it's like it's saying, so where do you want the sprinkler? Whoa, before we put a sprinkler, we want to know two things. What kind of sprinkler and what height are we going to put it at? And in the properties box, it shows that it's a horizontal recess sidewall. We're going to click on that picture and find one that says upright. There's an upright standard. I'll also point out, this is a list. The gray bars are family names, and under each gray bar, in this case, is only one, but there can be multiple types of upright sprinklers. There's only one type available to us, but we have to pick on the type under the gray bar. So where it says upright, under that it says standard, we're going to click on that. So that's one of the two pieces of information we have to put in here is how high does this want to be? What kind is it? In the properties box, if you scroll to you're at the top, it says level 1, and elevation from level, we're going to change from 0 to 19 feet. This building is 20 feet tall, and we're going to put the sprinkler a foot down from the steel, from the roof. So those are the two things you have to think about before you actually start putting sprinklers. And now I'm going to put a sprinkler 5 feet east of column A and 4 feet south of column 4. So if you drag your crosshairs over there, I would half expect to see some sort of dimensions showing up, and I don't see those dimensions.
Yeah.
So just take a wild ass guess, Dave, at where 5 feet and 5 feet is, and click to park it there.
20.
Yeah, you're in the right area. Perfect. Escape. If someone else sees dimensions, you could use the dimensions to guess. But if you click on it now, Dave, click on the sprinkler again. I was half expecting to see some dimension lines show up on it.
Wonder why.
Yeah, if that stumps you and me, that's pretty good. But I'm not going to stay stumped. I'm going to work around it. So we're going to put a dimension from column 4 to that sprinkler, and we're going to put another dimension from column A to that sprinkler. So the dimension, I'm going to slow you down for a second. Escape, escape, escape is in the annotate ribbon. The first real button is aligned. That one's not wicked obvious. Why do I want to put a dimension on an angle? Aligned refers to pick two things that are parallel to each other, and we'll align the dimension perpendicular to those two things that you pick. So aligned doesn't mean crooked. It means to between two objects that are parallel to each other. Okay, so you could either type DI or click on that, or click on the annotate and the aligned button. That one gets used so much. The little tiny buttons way at the top there include that same picture, the little thing on an angle aligned. So you don't have to actually open the annotate ribbon. That's the quick access toolbar. It says that button gets used so much, we put it there for always. Okay, so we're going to click on aligned, and now we're going to click on column 4, and then we're going to click. It looks like that dot lines up. That seems like it would be good. I actually see a tiny little line in there, so that seems good. Click there, and now click on nothing. That last click is the most unobvious. In AutoCAD, you would hit enter or escape or something. Here you have to click on nothing. So now click on column A and then go back to the center of that sprinkler and click on it, and now click on nothing. Escape, escape, escape. And this is for everybody else, Dave. This isn't for you because you already know this. But it would make sense that I want to change 5 foot 8.5 to 5 feet. So it's obvious that you want to click on the 5 foot 8.5. You don't want to do that. If you do, Revit is confused. It says you could change the 5 foot 8.5, but what do you want me to do? Move the building or move the sprinkler? You're gonna say obviously the sprinkler, but Revit has no way to know that. So Dave is not going to pick on 5 foot 8. He's going to pick on the sprinkler. That's one of the things we dimensioned. And when we click on something that's been dimensioned, then the dimensions to it light up. So now he can click on the 5 foot 8 and just type 5, because in Revit, it's the reverse of it. 5 in AutoCAD means inches, 5 in Revit means feet. So just hit enter, and that'll become 5 feet. Then click on the 4, 11, and whatever, and just type 5 and enter.
Hey, Alan.
Go ahead.
I did just notice when I did SK and I did that's regular upright, I got no dimensions as well, but there is another one that's HCAD upright sprinkler, and that one did have dimensions on it.
How cool. I don't know what we did. I don't remember being intentional about that. But those are the dimensions we were talking about. And if you get those, then you don't have to put dimensions on in order to adjust them. But it's kind of good this happened to us, Dave, and that's a great observation. There's something in the family that maybe is dimensionable in the Hydratec one, and the Revit family doesn't have that dimensionable character.
Hey, Alan,
Go ahead.
I put a sprinkler in, but it put a sidewall head. It's a triangle.
Yeah, you missed my warning.
I missed something, yeah.
So click on that sprinkler and hit the delete key to make it go away.
Click, hit the delete key. Okay, well.
The backspace key works also if you select it.
All right, yeah, it's gone.
Okay, now type SK.
SK.
And two things you got to pay real close attention to. Two things before you get carried away putting the baby in there. First thing is look in the properties box.
Okay.
And it says sidewall, doesn't it?
No, I must hit SK again. No. It doesn't really show me. Just a blank.
Okay, you're going to have to share your screen so we can see what's going on.
Don't worry about it. I don't want to slow it all up. Go ahead, just keep going. I'll figure it out.
Um, as you wish.
Okay.
Now we're going to click on that sprinkler that we inserted. We're on to slide 27, by the way. And it says we're going to click on that sprinkler and we're going to copy it multiple times to make 5 more copies of it to get 6 sprinklers 10 feet apart all the way down. So we're going to select the sprinkler. We're going to pick copy. We're going to make sure it's multiple. So when you pick the copy, select the sprinkler, and then the copy button is on the modify ribbon in the modify panel, and it's right next to move that we used before. And on AutoCAD, there was the command line. And in Revit, there's still sort of the command line. It's hiding in tiny little letters way down in the lower left-hand corner. But a lot of the stuff that used to be on the command line shows up underneath the buttons when you pick on a button. And that's called the options bar. And you see there's a check mark for multiple and a check mark for constraint. Who's using Revit 2026? Was that
I
you,
am.
John?
I am.
Michael? Okay. Do you get that options bar? It's a green bar underneath all the buttons. I used to.
Looks to be maybe green.
Okay, and is there an option for multiple and an option for constraint?
Hold on 1 second. So should I have it selected
Yes,
before I hit copy or after?
after. After.
Okay.
What happened now?
Nope, it just says modify with no boxes next to it.
Yep.
Yeah,
So,
in the ribbon bar, I've noticed some things move.
oh,
Or up in the what do you call it?
on the right side or something?
Like over here. Because I know the leaders used to be down in the green
Yeah.
option bar, and now they're up in.
Right. Okay, do you see where Dave's talking about?
Yes, I do. It's a box. It says,
Okay.
it opened up a new, I guess, section of the ribbon called copy.
Right.
Yep.
So
Cool.
it used to be that's a difference. It's one of the first times something significant changed. They used to put it in that green bar underneath, and now it's in sort of a separate box to the right of the ribbons. All right, and you want to make sure that multiple at least is on. And if you pick constrain, that's like turning ortho on. I would go ahead and pick constrain. There's no reason not to. And now we're pretty much like AutoCAD. You're going to pick a starting point, sort of close your eyes and pick a point, any point, and then point south and type 10 and hit enter. And since it's on multiple, it's already selected the next one. Just point south some more and type 10 and hit enter. And then hit 10 and hit enter. And hit 10 and hit enter and hit 10 and hit enter. And then escape, escape, escape. We did it, Dave. Good job. There's also a array button, so you could say array it 6 times, but
Yeah.
I never really got friendly with the AutoCAD array, and this one's no better. I have to know what the spacing is, and to tell it I'm doing spacing, not the whole thing, and how many there are, and all that stuff. By the time I figured that out, I could have just copied it 6 damn times. If there were 12 of them, I'd do 3, and then I'd copy 3 of them at a time, 30 feet, 3 at a time, then 6 at a time, 60 feet. At any rate, your option. There's all those different modify buttons you could use for that. Let's treat ourselves to slide 28. That says the sprinkler we used was the best one we could find in that list of sprinklers, which had a half a dozen or so, Dave, right? When you did the pull
Yeah,
down.
there's a few of them.
was a fair number, but there wasn't a million. And actually, there are a million that you can pick from. And we're going to use the spacing and layout to go find one of 30,000 sprinklers that just delights us for an upright sprinkler. So we're going to open the spacing and layout. We're going to click on new head from selector, and then we're going to filter out for reliable, ordinary hazard, good stuff. I'll help you through all of that. We can make it be a favorite, and then we can get back to the dialog box and just cancel. So actually, if you look at slide 29, I think it just maybe makes those words after we get back, we're just going to cancel. So let me guide you through that. Back to Revit. And pick the HydratecCAD Design Spacing and Layout tool. And it's the top one of those two. And here's a tool we're going to use in a little bit that would let us do pendants or uprights or sidewalls. So you see, those tabs up there. And right now, the only thing I want to use this dialog box is to pick a sprinkler. Do you see where it says the family is horizontal sidewall recessed? At the bottom of that list says new head from selector. And if you click that, it opens up another whole dialog box, which gives us access to 30,000 sprinklers. And we're going to start narrowing it down by using the manufacturer filter that's in the green at the top there. Do the pull down for manufacturer and check mark reliable. And then I'm going to skip application and go over to type and find upright. And then hazard will make ordinary, and response we're going to make quick. And K factor, I'm going to make standard, 5.2 to 5.8. So that got us from 30,000 down to less than a dozen. And the one at the top of the list there, I can't quite see across there, Dave. Yeah, close that. That one at the top of the list will probably do fine. Double click that. And that brought up the cut sheet, so I can look at it and say, ooh, that looks like an upright, and it's got a glass bulb, and it's pretty gold colored, and there's all kinds of data about it, and I'm gonna say, yeah, that's the one that I want. So we can close this. Be careful. You probably got away with it, Dave, but when I closed the browser, I closed our slideshow. We'll worry about that when we get back to the slideshow. The other thing I'll have you do is pick the star, the gray star. Yeah, you're good. So click the gray star under favorites. Yep. And the next time we're looking for a sprinkler, we can click on there's a favorites button somewhere.
How do we get to this head selector again?
You start by going to the spacing and layout tool.
Spacing and layout.
And then in the middle is a head data section. And under family, you do the pull down box and go all the way down to new head from selector. That get you there?
I see the head data.
head data, and then the pull down right under it says
Oh,
head
from
data
head.
family,
Gotcha.
and then pull down, go all the way to the bottom of that pull down. It says new head from selector.
Got it. Thank you.
Maximize the head selector, Dave. Let's see if that favorites button is maybe high. Like, whoa, that's really big, but I still don't see favorites. Do you?
No.
It's possible the next time we come in here, the button will
There'll
be
be
there.
favorites. Yeah.
There are no favorites, so you can't pick favorites. I bet you we did that on purpose.
Where'd it go?
Okay, so new head from selector. Let's go ahead and finish this first. Put that back to you can pick that, but you need to pick the two yellow boxes, a temperature and a finish.
Oh.
And the
Does it
temperature
really
will be
matter?
5 and the finish will be bronze. And then select head. And if you want, check that out. Go pick the new head from selector again. I will make a note of that. That's all you do is if you click that, then the yellow ones float to the top.
Yeah, if you sort it by favorite, yeah.
Right. Okie doke. So you can cancel this and check that reliable upright is in the list there. It is from us picking it. It's the RA14.
Oh, this one?
That's the one you and I picked.
Yep.
And then here you can pick cancel. We've added it to the list of sprinklers. So I'm going to say slide 30 includes more instructions about using the head selector. And then slide 31 no, back to slide 30. I think I skipped a step.
Oh.
So on slide 30, it says we now have in our list of sprinklers a legitimate manufacturer style and all that stuff. So we're going to take the 6 sprinklers we already did, Dave, and we're going to swap them out for these new reliable ones. And we're going to do that either by picking a window around them like you just did, or you could click on one and right click on it and say select all instances. And you could get crazy and say all instances in the project. It's like, I don't want those other ones anywhere in my project. Either way, we got 6 sprinklers and it says that it's the HCAD one. But if you do the pull down, reliable upright is now in the list. So click that. And those sprinklers are now all reliable upright sprinklers. In AutoCAD, there was a change head command. And what we just did is the equivalent of that change head. You have a list of all different heads. You pick on one, say select all of those, and then from that list you pick the different one. Cool. Let's go on to slide 31. And we're going to use the PI command or the system ribbon, the plumbing and piping tab panel, and there's a button that says pipe, or just type PI. And when we use PI, what we're going to do is create a main that goes horizontally sort of through the middle of our building, then goes vertically down the right side of our building, and then drops down to 2 feet to give us a pipe to put a backflow on, and then drops down to -5 feet to go out the building for the underground. And that, I'm getting all excited about drawing the main. We haven't drawn the branch lines yet. So the screen is telling us that slide 31 says, yeah, basically the same thing. But first thing we're going to do is draw the branch lines. And we're going to use PI. When you use PI, the pipes need 4 pieces of information before you get excited drawing them. The heads, 2 pieces. What kind? How high is it? The pipes, the diameter, the height, the type of pipe, and the system. And then you start picking points. So we can go back to Revit to do that. And we're going to type PI. And then we're going to pay attention and always say save. And then we're going to pay attention on the green options bar is diameter and middle elevation. And in Revit 26, that may be off to the right on the ribbon panel, but we're going to make it 1.5 pipe, and the height's going to be 19 feet. And the type, so in the properties for the pipe, do that pull down. There's a whole bunch of different types. We're going to use HCAD 1 lines welded. And before you actually click on it, let me point out, do you see, Dave, there are some fire prot this and fire prot that, and then there's a bunch of HCAD 1s. And at the bottom of the list is an HCAD 3, 2 of them. So which one should you pick? If there's an HCAD, favor that one. The fire prot ones were when we very first started, we made up some fire protection pipes. Then we got smarter and we said, ooh, we could make them work better. So I was tempted to make fire prot mains new. And then I thought I would get stuck making fire prot mains really new. And then fire prot mains really, really new. And it would be, a lot of looking. So I said, oh no, I'll switch from fire prot to HCAD and take the blame for how it works. And I'll make it HCAD 1, and when I come up with a better one, I'll make it HCAD 2, and I come up with a better one, it'll be HCAD 3. So always look for the HCAD, and if you find one of those, use it, and then look for the highest number. And if you find 2 of them with the same name, but 2 different numbers, use the higher number. So here I'm going to use HCAD 3 FP lines welded. So that's 3 of the 4. And then under mechanical, the gray bars for the properties include mechanical, and it's a system type. It is fire protection wet, but for us, it's going to be important that we pick a fire protection something. Okay, there's our 4 things. Now we can actually start drawing a pipe and start north of the north head. And there's a little dotted line. It's really faint. You see it and you feel it, Dave.
Yeah.
The dotted line is just telling you are lined up with the head. So go ahead and click there, and then zoom out and go south of the southmost head, and click there. Now, and then escape. Everybody that's used to AutoCAD said, whoa, I like to draw from someplace to a head, to a head, to a head, to a head, to a head. And this is Revit. It's the reverse of it. We're going to draw the heads, we're going to draw the pipes, and then we're going to connect the heads to the pipes. It's just different. Yep, go ahead.
I did the same. When I started the line behind the head and I hit the first head, I got an error saying, 2 errors. One saying segment is being drawn from wrong side to connect the location you indicated, and Revit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So escape, and hopefully you have no line at all.
Correct.
And try one more time. Do not start at the head. Start north of the head. Like on nothing. But look for that dotted blue line that tells you you're lined up with the head.
Yeah, that's what I did. And even if I do it again,
Michael, let me make you the presenter and we'll
see
sort that out. Up, nope. Michael wants to be the presenter. Okay, and then be sure you share your screen, not Revit. Good. And then, cool.
So I'm welded, fire protection, 1.5 inch, 19.
Good stuff, yeah.
Boom.
Now, but there, you're AutoCADing. This is the reverse of it. Escape, escape, escape.
Oh.
You did a great start, but where you went wrong was pick on the head. So PI, start north of the head, zoom out, and draw past all of the heads.
Oh, okay. Not one by one. Okay,
Right.
got it.
And again, that's the reverse of it. Your AutoCAD thing says go to that head, to that head, to that head.
Yeah, right.
And in Revit, it just plain don't work.
Okay, so just like this then, correct?
You got it perfect now, Mike.
Okay,
Mike.
thank you.
And we've got a Mike Patton and we've got a Mike Ewell. Mike, do you go Mike Ewell? I'm going to just use Michael. So
That's fine.
if I'm calling somebody, but you normally go by Mike. Is that true?
It isn't. I go either or. He's listed as Mike and I'm listed as Michael, so that's no problem already.
Well,
It's
you're
already
going to
done.
stick with that.
Yeah,
I will call you Michael.
sounds good.
Dave, you're on the way back to being the presenter here.
Yep.
And I will say it over and over and over. The whole point of the basic class is that we all stick together. And if something's not working, we'll get it working for you. Don't bug out, and don't be quiet. Pop up. All right. So I think we get to slide 32 because we did that slide 31 thing. And now we're going to connect the heads to that pipe. And that's the pull down for spacing and layout has got configure head. And in configure head, we're going to use this dialog box to say we're connecting the heads right into the branch lines. We're going to use fire protection arms to welded lines. That's kind of moot. The type of pipe would refer to the sprig, and we don't have sprigs, so it kind of doesn't matter, but I'm going to answer it just in case we had sprigs. They would be 1 inch, and the tolerance is important. Our heads are at 19 feet. Our pipe is at 19 feet. The heads are going to have to move up, or they're going to have to move up a little bit to actually connect into the top of the pipe. And if they're within a foot of the pipe, they will move to be connected into the pipe. So that's what that tolerance is about. And continuous is my favorite. It'll let me say, take these heads and connect them into that pipe. And continuous won't finish the command. It says, pick some more heads and pick another pipe, pick some more heads and pick another pipe. We'll hit escape, escape, escape to get out of that continue thing. So let's go back to Revit and actually do that. So we're going to do the spacing and layout pull down. And CH is the shortcut for configure head. We're going to switch to upright configuration, and we're going to click the picture of directly connected. Yep. And then we're going to change from fire protection underground to arms to welded lines. And there's a couple of those. FP arms to welded lines. That's perfect. There's another one that has IGS in it that we didn't want, but that's the one we want. And the diameter wants to be 1 inch. And the tolerance wants to be 1 foot, and the continuous wants to be checked. And then where it says choose action, there's a pull down. We want to connect heads. And now pick a window around all 6 sprinklers. And then pick the branch line. And if you zoom in a little bit, I think you'll escape, 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 because it's still asking to pick heads and lines and stuff. I think you can see that hover over one of the pipes, Dave. That'll
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Little hard to tell that it broke it, but when you select one of the pipes, you see that it's broken into sections. And I can't argue with Michael that this is better than the AutoCAD way, but it is what it is. I think I'm totally convinced it's every bit as good. I'd like to think it's better, but it's the reverse of it. So we're going to go to slide 33.
I'm getting errors doing that as well.
Okay.
Same.
It says one of my dimension references have become invalid, and
Yep. Yep. Me too.
yeah.
Let me make you the presenter, Michael. And we'll check that out. Oh, I think I know what that's about.
Sounds like one of my elevations were off.
Actually, I want to get the error. Everybody see the error. Do you see you have a 5'0" and a 5'0" there?
Yep.
A little surprising that changes, but when you click on, I want to double check that your pipe is all one pipe now. It is. Okay. So start over with configure head. And pick a that's all filled out the way we want. Pick a window around all 6 heads, and then pick on the branch line. One or more dimension references are or have become invalid. Pick delete dimension.
Yeah, those are the 5-foot dimensions.
Yeah, these ones.
Interesting.
It also takes it away when on the heads now.
Yeah. And did the branch line break up into pieces?
It did. Yeah.
It did. But we still, and the piece at the top isn't quite right because
Yeah.
Oh,
it's like disappeared.
It's hiding somehow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
That might just be this accelerated graphic thing.
Yeah. Oh, you're in 26. Yeah. And
yeah.
if you
And now it's
zoom
there
out,
when I turn it off.
All right.
Let's leave that off, I guess.
Can't give you a great it's like the head moved a tiny bit. Or now the dimension went to the pipe, not to the head. And it says I can't dimension to that anymore. And we're okay with that.
Okay.
Does that solve everyone else that had the problem?
Yeah, just give me 1 second. I'm going to try myself.
All right.
Delete dimensions. They are gone.
And that disappearing pipe, I saw that before and just said, oh, let me zoom. Oh, there it is. And I didn't make a really big deal out of it. But I'm convinced.
He's off too. That's weird.
Yeah. I want to call that
a better looking circle, but I guess I'll just never touch this button again.
Yeah, my understanding, my understanding is we're working on a small enough model that accelerated graphics just won't be able to. You won't be able to notice the difference. If they take something that's 0.1 seconds and they make it 0.05 seconds, you can't tell. But if we had 1,000,000 square feet warehouse and we had a view that was showing us all the sprinklers in the 1,000,000 square feet warehouse, we might notice a huge difference between the acceleration or not. But right now, we have little enough stuff on the screen. It may be faster, it might be 6 times faster, but we can't tell. Make sense?
Yeah. I just liked it because it made it look cleaner, but I will just not use that.
Okay. We're all together again. I'm going to make Dave the presenter. And we're going to go on to on slide 33. It says, okay, we've got a nice branch line. We're going to make 3 more of them. Just like we made 5 more heads, we're going to make 3 more lines. So we're going to pick a window around that entire branch line. heads and pipes and fittings, and then we're going to do copy, and we're going to make sure multiple is checked. And then we're going to pick a place. We're going to point to the right, type 10, point to the right, type 10, keep pointing to the right, type 10, and then we're going to escape, escape, escape. We'll have 4 branch lines. So let's go back to here. Let's pick a window around our branch line and our heads and our pipes and everything, and then do copy or CO, and then point to the right and type 10, and keep pointing to the right, type 10 again, and keep pointing to the right, type 10 again, and then escape, escape, escape. Are you still with us, David?
No, I'm still messing around with it. Keep on going.
How about you, John? Are you still with us?
Actually, I can't get heads to cut into the pipe. I don't know what I've done wrong.
We're going to back up just a little bit, make you the presenter.
Oh boy.
Okay, so the screen that Revit is on, that's the one we're hoping for you to share. That looks good. Well, it's all 3 of them, but I'll
Right. I've technically got one screen. I've just stretched across. So
okay.
that's why it's looking like that.
That's all that you can share.
Yeah.
But
So
click on the pipe and convince us, you did, that it's all one pipe right now. So then go to the configure head, and you want not sprigs. The picture's on the left.
Oh.
That's it. That's directly connected.
Okay.
And configure head, you want to use, instead of lines welded, you want that to be arms to welded lines. And then the diameter wants to be 1 inch. And the 1 foot tolerance is good, and the continuous is good. Now,
Where's the configure head button? I don't see it.
What don't you see?
Configure head? Where is that?
Oh, it's hiding under spacing and layout.
Spacing and layout.
Yeah, it's on your design panel.
Yeah, HydratecCAD ribbon, design panel, the first button.
Figurehead, all right.
Got it?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so we want directly connected, arms to welded lines, 1 inch, 1 foot tolerance, and continue. But the next thing that you're having trouble with is, you said connect to outlet. Do that pull down. We want to connect head. Now pick a window around all your heads, and then pick on the branch line. And delete those dimensions.
Delete.
In the lower left-hand corner, it says delete dimensions.
It does?
I see a message.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
There you go. And now click on one of those pipes. Escape, escape, escape. We're still in the command. And then click on a pipe.
Yeah. Okay.
And you see there.
Did it.
So there was a whole lot going on there. Change configuration was one of the choices that was in there. Connect to outlet was another choice, and connect heads was another choice.
Mm-hmm.
Change configuration is, I have them directly connected, I want to add sprigs. Or I have sprigs, I want to change them to directly connected. That would be configuration. The connect to outlet is used for a retrofit where you had a spec building and you took all the heads out, and now you put new heads in the ceiling, and you want to connect this head to that outlet and this head to that outlet.
Okay.
And then connect heads is break the heads into the pipes.
Okay.
Good deal. Now, pick a window around all that stuff.
Excuse me, I noticed that when we connect the heads to the pipe, my heads are now elevated at like 19 foot 2 1/4. It looks like it raised the pipe instead of keeping the head where it was. I don't know if that's intentional or not.
Oh, the pipe is at 19.2 1/4?
The head itself. So when I set
Head.
the elevation from level at 19 and then run the command, it moves the head up to this 19.2 1/4 distance.
Right. And that was intentional. We said connect heads. We're connecting to the pipe. So, and we said the tolerance was a foot. So the heads will move to how they have to move to connect into that pipe. So they go into the top.
Okay, so center line of pipe is still 19 feet.
Right.
Okay.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Conceivably, you might have to work that into the plan. If you really, really wanted the deflectors at 19, you could move them down now to get to 19 feet, or you could figure that ahead of time. Say, let me make the center line of the pipe 1810 or something.
A question with that: when I do click on the pipe, I see that it has an upper end top elevation, a middle elevation, and a lower end bottom elevation. They're all different.
Yep.
Shouldn't it be flat and be all the same?
No, that's plumbing crap. The plumbers care about the bottom of their pipe, and sometimes they care about the top of the pipe. So Revit's.
So we only need to focus on middle then.
That's right.
Gotcha.
Revit reports all three of them to you, but you and I have always only cared about the center line.
Alec, can you walk me through that
It's
again?
like literally the top of the pipe, like not like.
Right.
Not, okay, I understand. Thank you.
Yeah, it's not from one end to the other that it's sloping. It's
that's what I was imagining.
Right. No, the cross-sectional circle has a top, a middle, and a bottom, and that's what it's reporting. Someone else had a question?
Yeah, mine's not cutting the heads in. I'm trying to use the configure head, but I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
Okay, David, we're going to make you the presenter.
Oh, good.
That's why this is the basic class, right?
Yeah.
If you'll only learn a little bit, but you learn it, that's a hell of a lot better than I taught you a million things and you didn't learn any of them. There's no point in that. That's just me showing off. David, I thought I asked you to
right here.
Share. There you go. Okay, cool. So escape, or cancel here. I want to start at the beginning and make sure if you click on the pipe that it's all one pipe. David, your pipe is fire protection underground and it's 3-inch diameter and it's a little bit low. Let me have you change before we connect the heads, let me have you change the diameter or change the pipe type first because underground doesn't get any smaller than 3-inch. So
all right, how do I do that?
You click on the pipe.
Okay.
And do you see it says pipe type fire protection underground? In the picture of the pipe at the top of the properties box.
Top of the property. Yeah, okay.
Click that, pull that down and go find HCAD lines welded, HCAD 3 FP lines welded. That one. Okay. And just above that picture says diameter 3-inch. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Do the pull down there and click 1.5 inches. And the middle elevation, I shouldn't complain, but it says 1811.5.
Yeah.
Right next to the diameter. You can change it in the properties, or you can change it in that green next to the 1.5 inch. Next to the 1.5 inch. Next to the 1.5 inch that you just changed is middle elevation.
Oh. Right here.
Sure.
No.
What does it need to be?
19.
Okay.
Okay. And one more property. Scroll down in the list of properties for that pipe to where it says mechanical.
Okay.
And check system type says fire protection. So whenever you do a pipe, you got to think about those 4 things before you start clicking to draw the pipe.
Okay.
Diameter, height, type, and system. Cool. So now we've got a pipe and we've got 6 heads. Now go to the HydratecForRevit ribbon.
Figurehead.
Configure head. And you want them directly connected, David. So right now they're putting them on sprigs. I don't want them on sprigs. Do you see the picture?
Yeah.
Pick on the picture of the directly connected.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Got it? Okay.
Yeah.
And pipe type, I want to be arms to welded lines, not welded lines. So pipe type, change that. Arms
right
to
here.
welded lines. Yep. And 1 inch. If we were doing sprigs, we wouldn't want 1.5 sprigs.
Right.
Tolerance of 1 foot says that if the head's within a foot, we're going to connect it. And I'm going to recommend you pick continuous, even though we don't need it. Right underneath the diameter, 1 inch.
Okay.
And then look at the pull down where it says connect head. There's a pull down there. Change configuration. If we had sprigs and I wanted to change them to connect, we'd use that. We don't have anything yet.
Oh.
Escape, escape, escape. Configure head. I expect it'll be filled out the way we had it. So do the pull down again. And the one we want is connect head. Didn't look like you got connect head. It looked like you got change configuration. Or maybe that's, keep going.
Well, I got out of it now. Let me see.
All right. Sometimes you pick connect head, but I don't see it because the screen changed before I saw that get picked.
Connect head.
You got it. Now pick a window around the heads and pick the pipe.
There we go. I guess it did it.
I think so. If you hover over a pipe, you should see just 10 feet of pipe now, not escape, escape, escape. You're still trying to pick more heads,
Okay.
pick more pipes.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. It's good.
Right. Zoom out and pick a window around all that stuff, David. Then do copy.
CO.
Yeah. Pick a place in space anywhere. Up.
That disappeared.
Control Z. Control Z is undo. Okay, pick a window around all of it. Okay. And this time let's use, yeah, so click someplace, any place.
Okay.
No. Try again. Escape, escape, escape.
One thing I'm learning, I'm going to be sticking with AutoCAD for a while. Yeah.
No, you don't want to do your command first. You want to select first.
This is the reverse of it. Escape, escape, escape. Pick the pipe. Now do copy. Escape, escape, escape.
Yeah.
Pick the pipes. Don't touch anything until until we find where you're about to pick.
Okay.
Now, don't type anything. Don't pick anything. Look at the ribbon that's open, David. And the ribbon that's open is the modify ribbon. Do you see the modify panel?
Yeah.
Put your mouse on the word modify. Okay. Just up and to the left of that is the copy button.
Okay.
Click that.
All right.
Now, pick some place in space.
Like anywhere?
Yes. Now point to the right. And type
10
Make
feet?
sure you're pointing straight to the right and then type 10 and enter.
10 feet or just 10?
Just 10 because this is Revit. And now keep pointing to the right and type 10 and enter again. And keep pointing to the right and hit 10 and enter again. Now escape, escape. Whoop, you went too far.
Too far?
Yep, escape, escape, escape. Pick a window around branch line 5 and 6. And hit the
Okay.
delete key.
Delete.
Um,
All right.
Now zoom in and out a little bit. Those, this is a Revit 2026 thing. It doesn't do a great job of telling you what's selected and what's not. It's like it remembers selected stuff and keeps it blue until you zoom.
Okay.
But you've got 4 branch lines now.
Right.
And we're going to do 4 more a different way.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You bet. Dave, coming back to you. Make presenter. Yes. All right. And let's go look at slide 34. And we made 4 branch lines on the left half of the building as welded branch lines. We're going to use the spacing and layout tool to do this a different way. And the 4 branch lines on the right half of the building, we're going to make threaded branch lines. And we're going to pick the spacing and layout tool, or we're going to type SX to start the spacing and layout tool. And then we're going to fill out that great big sophisticated dialog box to tell it all of what we want to do. We're going to use upright heads directly connected. We're going to make sure in the little hamburger menu or the 3-bar menu way at the top, we're going to click on that and make sure it says insert all pipes, adjust mode majority, and continuous spacing. And then we're going to make sure the head dialed in is that reliable upright head. The button in the very, very middle of the whole dialog says expand head data. When we click that, that box on the bottom is going to tell us the density is 0.15, the minimum pressure is 7, the coverage area is 100, the max coverage is 100, the line spacing is 15, all that stuff we're going to fill in. Coverage area, if we fill that in and we check mark it, when we do the hydraulic calculations, it's going to use that, regardless of the actual distance between the heads and the lines. If we don't check that, then it's going to it's going to use it's not going to force it to use 100. It's going to use the line spacing and the head spacing. Max coverage, both of those say 100, but max coverage says find a distance between the lines that gives us the fewest lines, and then but don't go over 15 feet, and then find the distance between the heads that won't go over 100 feet. So those middle 3, max coverage, line spacing, and head spacing, are constraints. They are not the answer. They're don't go over this. And then it's going to propose a layout, and we'll be able to, with one click of a button, move a whole row of heads 3 inches left or right or up and down, or a whole branch line left or right or up or down. And we're leaving it at 3 inches. Then in the upper right-hand corner, we're going to say use lines threaded, not lines welded. We're going to make it above finished floor 19 feet, and we're going to use 1.5-inch pipe. We're just going to double check in that middle bar on the right where it says expand direction data. We're just going to make sure that slope is off. And then we're going to do pick 2 points. We're going to pick the lower left-hand corner of a bay, the upper right-hand corner of the bay, and it's going to lay the sprinklers out and the pipes and the fittings and all that stuff. We're just going to pick a green button and put them there. So let's go get Revit open and do that stuff. So we're going to pick the spacing and layout tool. That's on the HydratecForRevit ribbon in the design panel. It's hiding under configure head now. So we're going to pull that down and use spacing and layout. And we're going to go to uprights on the left side, and we're going to make sure it's directly connected. Then in the middle, we're going to make sure it says reliable type 135 brass. That's fine. Then we're going to expand the head data, and density we're going to put in 0.15. Minimum pressure we're going to put in 7. Coverage area we're going to put in 100. Max coverage we're going to put in 100. And then the line spacing and head spacing will stay at 15, but the adjustment I want to put O space 3. That's a way of spelling 3 inches. And then we can compact head data. And if you click in that picture, Dave, where it shows the branch line going left and right, do you see I want the branch lines up and down? Every time you click there, it switches to the other way. Okay, so that's our way of telling it the branch lines are going to go north and south. Pipe type is going to be lines threaded. And then above finished floor 19 feet, the diameter is going to be 1.5 inches. And click on that expand and just make sure slope is unchecked and then compact it. And if we had sprigs, we want those to be arms to threaded lines. And diameter 1 inch. Okay. Before you pick room or pick 2 points, Dave, let's check and see if everybody's caught up and they've got that dialog box filled out the way we want it. And actually, the 3-bar menu again, Dave, that bottom one I want checked for continuous. That way we can do one bay and go right on and do another bay. Anyone have questions or need a minute to get caught up here? Dave's got.
Can you open that expand head data again?
Yeah. 0.157.
3 inches. 3 inches. All right.
Got it?
Yeah.
Cool. So where it said do not pick room, we'd have to have a Revit background where the architect created rooms to use that. There's a pull down there that gives you a choice of pick room or pick 2 points. Just because you have a Revit background doesn't mean you have rooms. The architect sometimes defines rooms differently from the way we do. For instance, in this project, the room would probably be the whole warehouse, but our room is going to be, our 2 points are going to define a bay at a time. So I'm ready, Dave, if you are, to go ahead and pick 2 points and then zoom in on one of the 4 corners of that next bay.
This one?
That's the bay I want to work on. So pick it in a corner, and where you're picking is perfectly defining that corner. So click there, but now you have to zoom out and zoom in on the diagonal opposite corner. That'll give us a length and a width. And the program said, oh, okay, well, I could fill that in at 100 square feet each. Here's what I would propose. And we can get fancier later, but I'm saying that looks pretty good to me. 5 foot, 10 foot, 5 foot, and then the other way, 5 feet, 10, 10, 10, 10, then 5. So if we don't want to make any adjustments, we can just pick somewhere inside that green panel and it'll accept that. And because so now it's actually drawn, but because we had continuous on, zoom into a corner of the next bay and then go zoom to the diagonal corner of that bay and pick the green box. And now escape, escape, escape. And if you if you click on one of those pipes, Dave, you'll see that they're individual pipes and that the heads are already connected and everything. So the stuff we did on the left was kind of the manual way, and the stuff we did on the right is an expansion of what in AutoCAD used to be base space. Anyone have questions on that? John, you've got your threaded branch lines done now too?
Got them done.
Okay, well, let's treat ourselves to slide 35 then, which is really just a review or an enlargement of slide 34. I got the big letters instead of the pictures on the dialog box. And that continuous, Dave, is what let us do one corner, and then we didn't have to revisit the dialog box. We just did
Okay.
four corners. So let's go on to slide 36. And now this is what I quoted you a half an hour ago. We've got our branch lines. We need the mains. So we're going to reuse PI. And whenever you start a pipe, you need to think about four things: the diameter, the height, the pipe type, and the system. And in this case, we're going to start out with 4-inch pipe at 17 feet. It's going to be mains welded, and it'll still be fire protection wet. And then we're going to draw across near the middle of the building, down to that corner, down to 2 feet, all the way to the corner, and then at -5 feet out the building. So let's switch back to Revit. And type PI. And we're going to do all four things. The diameter will change to 4-inch. The height, we're going to type in 17. The picture of the pipe is going to change to mains welded. Well, I think it's all the way at the bottom.
Oh, there it is.
And make sure that the system is fire protection wet. Okay, now find column 3, Dave, and I want to go a foot or so, start a foot or so south of column 3 and all the way up pretty much to the left end of the building. So if you click a foot south, there you go. And so you clicked there on the left side of the system, and now I want to click about a foot to the west of that east wall. Right about there is fine. And now go south a little more than halfway to the south wall. Good. Now when you click there, I want to change the elevation to 2 feet. It'll still be mains welded, and go most of the rest of the way to the south wall. And now change the elevation to -5 feet and change the pipe type from mains welded to FP underground.
This one?
Yeah. And then draw to the right 10 or 20 feet or something, click once, and then go another 10 or 20 feet south and click again. And then escape, escape, escape. So I'll just point out, I think it's kind of cool. The underground came in dotted, and the other stuff came in solid. And maybe you can explain why that happened, Dave.
It's a view range thing.
Yep.
If anything between the bottom and the view depth level uses
Right.
a different line type,
And
that's
I defined that beyond line type to be dotted.
yeah, and it's I forget where that setting is, but yeah, it's right here. It is line styles. It says this.
Yeah, there's one of those says beyond.
Yeah, this one right here.
Yep.
That says solid.
Yeah. It's probably object styles or something. But that
Yeah, that's neither
that
here nor there for this.
it's getting a little bit deep. Um, for right now, it's magic. It knew that
Yep.
it was below the ground, drew it dotted. Okay. Does everybody have a main? Anyone want a little bit of help getting the main and the underground in? John, you're good?
I believe so. It seemed to work correctly.
Okay. Then let's charge on and go to slide 37. And we've got our main and we've got our branch lines, but the main isn't connected to the branch lines yet. So we're going to use the connect pipes button or type AR, and we'll get another dialog box that says, how do you want to connect the branch lines to the mains? And we're going to want to connect them with riser nipples. So we're going to pick the picture on the right, and then we're going to pick on them. We're going to be prompted for, and we're going to pick on the main first, and then we're going to, this says pick a crossing window. I'm going to make us pick each of the 8 branch lines and then pick finish. If you're a macho stud propeller head, picking a crossing window would be easy, but when we're getting started, picking the lines one at a time is going to be a little bit easier. So we're going to do it that way. Let's go back to Revit. And go to the HydratecForRevit ribbon. And in the design panel is connect pipes. It's the second button in the design panel. And we want
to fast.
Yes. So of these pictures, we don't want to extend the branch line and tie into the side of the main. We don't want to go over and then go up into the main, and we don't want to change elevation and go into the main. We want to put a riser nipple between them. So we're going to click on that 4th picture, add risers. And if you pay attention in the very, very lower left corner, it says pick a pipe to connect into. I'm saying we're connecting into the main. So click on the main. And then that prompt changes. It says pick pipes to connect. And if you click on a branch line, you see the little plus sign, that gets selected. Then go to the next branch line and click on it. And it gets connected, and that it gets ready to be connected. So we'll just click each of the 8 branch lines. And that probably hurts, Dave, to not just pick a crossing window on those. However, I'll point out that little plus sign, if you hover over one of those pipes now, it shows a minus sign. And if you click it, it unselects it. So kind of a neat way to pick them one at a time and say, those are the ones that I want to do. And to finish this, in AutoCAD, you'd hit enter. In Revit, where there's a button on that options bar that says finish. Can you find that finish button, John?
I finished.
All right. And now you see there's riser nipples in there connecting those things.
Correct. No annotation, just riser nipples, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
And that's another, it's the reverse of it. It knows its diameter and it knows its length. In AutoCAD, it doesn't. It just says there's an up and down pipe. After you put the annotation, that's when it knows its diameter, but it already knows a diameter.
Okay.
So let's go on to slide 38. And I put all of the cleanup stuff here. We've got a bunch of loose ends. Our welded lines have go further than they should. Our threaded branch lines go further than they should. The main at the end of the building goes further than it should. And the underground goes to where it's supposed to go, but it doesn't have a cap on it. So I'll sort of read this. It says use a crossing window plus control a crossing window to select all of those loose ends on the welded lines and on the cross main. And then there's going to be a button shows up on the modify ribbon in a Hydratec panel, little tiny red panel. And there's only 2 buttons in that panel, and the top button says cap open ends, which by default will go 6 inches and put a cap. Then we're going to pick the last underground pipe and find, modify, edit, Revit cap open ends. It'll just put a cap on it. And then we're going to use crossing window again to pick the loose threaded ends. And we're going to use HydratCAD modify delete pipe to get rid of those. We're not shortening them and putting the cap. We're totally getting rid of them and turning the T into an elbow. So we're going to do all of that stuff and then come back to slide 39. So let's go back to Revit. I'm going to start by picking a crossing window around the loose ends on the 4 branch lines on the left side of our building.
You're talking those 4?
Those 4, perfect. And I was getting greedy. Leave that selection and hold control down. Well, pan so you see the bottom of the building. And now hold the control key down and pick another crossing window. You just added 4 more. And keep control down and pick a crossing window about the cross main that's hanging off the left side of the building there.
This thing?
Left side, no, that's the right.
Oh.
The other left.
You want me to pick? I'll pick this right here. Main.
That's it. Control and click on
All
that.
right.
So we've picked 8 hanging off branch lines, and we picked 1 hanging off main. And on the ribbon that's open, Dave, is a HydratCAD panel. And in that HydratCAD panel, there are 2 buttons. The upper button looks like a funnel, but it's meant to be a cap, and it says cap open ends. Go ahead and pick that. And I saw you do the macho stud propeller head thing and use the filter to make sure we only had pipes.
Yeah, it's selected the background.
Yeah, but that command, cap open ends, is directed very specifically at pipes.
Okay, so it wouldn't matter if I had anything else selected?
Anything else, it just says, I'm looking for pipes and I'm making them shorter. Okay.
Where's the cap open ends one again? Where's that button?
It's when the modify ribbon is open, there's a red panel that says HydratCAD. Did you find it?
Is there a way to get? Because I thought it was the regular HydratCAD ribbon. Is there a way to get back just to the modify one without reselecting?
Look at the ribbon names at the top. Way at the right is modify.
Got it. Okay.
Now, do you have that HydratCAD panel?
Yes.
And the top button looks like a funnel. You could type a distance in there. You could make them go a foot, but if you just pick it, it guesses 6 inches. Success?
1 second. Cap open ends. Yeah, I had to deselect the background.
You don't.
It doesn't show me the HydratCAD without it. I'll undo it.
Huh.
I see it.
I can undo and share my screen if I'm not doing it correctly.
Sure. Michael?
Yep.
The ribbon display does vary a little bit, depending on the resolution and a number of other things. So it's possible that.
It's right there.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah,
it's still there.
So you see the red. Yours is kind of pink with white letters on it.
Okay, it is back on this one.
No.
I thought. See.
There. The panel. We spent time on panel. It's good we did. Yeah, your mouse is going over all the
Oh,
panels.
it's right there. It's so light, I
Yeah.
can barely see it. Okay.
Right. We're blaming the dark background for that.
Yeah.
And now there's the button you want.
There we go. Thank you.
You got it. While you're here, okay, I'll go give Dave the presentation back. Dave, you are the presenter. Okay, so now we want to do the same sort of thing. Pick a crossing window around the branch line loose ends at the top, control crossing window for the loose ends across the bottom, and click on the HydratecForRevit ribbon in the modify panel is a button that says delete pipes. Nope, HydratecForRevit ribbon.
Oh.
Modify panel, delete pipes.
Ready for me to click it?
Go ahead.
I think it needs to be a little bit more confusing.
Just now, as I read it out to you, in one case, it's the modify ribbon, the HydratecForRevit panel, and in the other case, it's the HydratecForRevit ribbon, the other panel.
Yeah.
It's much easier if I just told you DP for delete pipes. You don't have to find the ribbon and all that. But the difference, Dave, is that if it's threaded pipe, we can put a 1.5 by half elbow at that head. If it's welded pipe, we want to extend it beyond to put a 1/2 inch welded outlet for the sprinkler head. And I'll show you that again in just a minute. One last thing, we got to do the main. So go the underground. Go find the last piece of underground that you drew, and if you click on it in the modify ribbon that comes up, you should find cap open ends. It's in the edit panel.
Right here.
That's it. And that's 2 different buttons that says cap open ends. The HydratecForRevit one that says cap open ends changes the length and puts a cap. And the Revit one does not change the length, it just puts a cap. Cool. And now we're going to go to slide 39. And slide 39 says we're going to reward ourselves and take a look at this in 3D. We're going to pick a big old window around everything. We could type BX, or on the modify ribbon, kind of right in the middle is a little 3D looking box called selection box, and that'll make a 3D view. And then I'm going to show you how to hold the shift button down and click on your mouse wheel and just move your mouse around, and you can orbit the model. So let's go back to Revit. Zoom out, pick a big old window around everything. And then there it is in the view panel, the first button above it, or type BX is the selection box. Selection box means the stuff you selected, we're going to make a 3D view of. So go ahead and pick on that, Dave. And now hold your shift button down and hold your wheel mouse down and move your wheel mouse around. And you can look at that from kind of any angle you want. If you actually click on a pipe and then hold the shift down and the wheel down, it's still orbiting, but it uses that as the center of the universe. And Dave, if you zoom in on the end of one of those threaded branch lines, Do you see the elbow that connects the 1.5-inch pipe to the 1/2-inch sprinkler outlet? They make threaded fittings like that. They make a 1.5-inch by half threaded elbow, but the welded outlets are 1/2-inch threaded thing that needs to get cut into and welded onto the piece of pipe. So we need to run the pipe past in order to weld that outlet on, and then we cap the open end with a cap. Similarly, if you look at the tops of the riser nipples, the top of the threaded branch lines has got an 1.5-inch by 1.5-inch by 1.5-inch T. That's a 1.5-inch by 1.5-inch by half T. And then there's a threaded pipelet at the bottom. If you look at the welded lines, there's a grooved T at the top of the riser nipple. And that takes a T and 3 couplings. And there's a groovelet, an outlet welded to the pipe that has a groove cut in it that matches a groove cut into the pipe, and then a coupling holds those two together. And then the sprinkler outlets are just 1/2-inch pipelets welded onto the side to the top of the pipe.
Hey Al, real quick, it's just a yes or no. Down the line, can we change that groove T on the branch line to a welded outlet looking down?
Yes.
Okay.
And just ask me again.
Later down the road. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a way to set that as the default so that you'd use a size on size groovelet. But you can change it. Well, I'm going to have us skip ahead to slide 46. We've got to the exact same place that the last class got to at 1 o'clock. And I don't want to shortchange that last few slides that have to do with decorating the riser. We have a riser drawn, but it doesn't have any valves in it. We'll do that the beginning of Thursday. So besides the size on size groovelet, are there other questions from today?
Yeah, I have one. I found out that I accidentally hit pendants on the threaded lines, and I went to change them to uprights, but I don't really know how to reconnect the fitting.
Yep.
That.
So let me talk you through it. We could you and I could stick around and we'll do it to yours.
Right.
But this is a case where the fitting is pointing up, and if you change the sprinkler to a thing that's pointing down, it's trying to put a pointing down sprinkler in a pointing up outlet. So what we're going to do instead is disconnect heads, change the heads to pendants, and then connect heads. Do you get the
You want
process?
me to do that? You want me?
Or Dave, and I guess you could do it with one, but you could do it with a whole branch line at a time. If you just try and change that head, it gets really mad at you. It says, "Yeah, I can't screw the head down into an outlet pointing up."
Yeah.
So cancel that. Don't disconnect, just cancel. And we can do it in this 3D view. Go to configure head.
Where's that one at?
It's on the HydratecForRevit ribbon in the design panel, hiding under spacing and layout.
Oh.
Yep. And in the lower right-hand corner right now, it says connect head. Do the pull down and disconnect head.
There's no disconnect.
That might be a disadvantage of 24.1. The version you're on.
Cool.
Michael, what version of
Revit
The
are you
new
using?
2026.1.
Okay, so let me have you share your screen. Make presenter. Yes.
Mine might be a little bit different because I tried to fix it myself, and I changed the heads already, so it looks like this now.
Yeah. Can you, but for all of them,
No,
you
just
said
the
just the
just the
one?
threaded. Just the threaded. Yeah, I did it all the threaded because I selected all and tried. I figured that if I selected all and just changed them to uprights, that would help. But then I can see the fitting down and the upright up, obviously.
Yeah. And the next one?
Yeah, there's an upright inside it.
Huh. Click on that one head. Just click on that one head for me and change it to a pendant. Okay. So that's what you did originally. And
Yeah, I had them all as pendants originally.
slow down. I want to show you how to fix one, and you can go do the rest of them, okay? And normally I would do this in the plan view, but I think it'll be more instructive if we do it here in the 3D view. One other thing I'd like you to do is look at the quick access toolbar, all those tiny little buttons way at the top, and 4 buttons from the right. The tiniest little buttons way at the toppest of everything. That's it.
Okay.
That's the bunch of buttons. That is the quick access toolbar.
Okay.
Start at the right and count back 4 buttons. Stop. Go back 1. There. Thin lines, click that.
Okay, perfect.
Now it doesn't look like we're drawing with crayons.
Yeah, the line weight. Yeah.
Right. I even renamed that button. It says thin lines, but I call it the crayon box. Okay, now go to the configure head button. It's on the HydratecForRevit ribbon in the design panel, and it's that button right there. And in the lower right-hand corner, it says disconnect heads. Click that, and just pick a window around that head. And I don't believe it. That's supposed to put the head back together. Is there a finish button? No. Escape, escape, escape. Just do that for me one more time. Pick configure head, disconnect heads. Pick a window around that head. That's it. All right, let's try it in the plan view. That one will do.
It worked on mine, Al, just like you said.
In the 3D view even.
Yes, sir.
So we're going to try it one more time here. So configure head, disconnect heads, pick a window around that head, and go pick a window around the other head showing on the screen. All right. Escape, escape, escape. Zoom in. Wow. And when you said it worked on yours, it got rid of the fitting?
Yep, fitting went away, and I just reconfigured head and reconnected it, and everything worked as it should.
Okay. All right. I shouldn't get too upset at this stage of our learning process. I have a really good way to fix it, Michael. Pick a big old window around the right half of this thing and delete all those branch lines. Maybe a little bit cruel, but good enough. And now go to spacing and layout. That's it, pull down. Probably set up the way we left it for threaded heads. You're going to use the reliable upright. And uprights is good. And then pick 2 points. I don't think you want to be hitting cancel there. That says don't do it. I think at that last step, you want to be hitting green button and now escape, escape, escape. And those extra green buttons are left over from the failed attempts from before. I think you finally got one to work on the right side there. The one in the middle, I'm not convinced the dimensions are still there. I don't think those are real pipes. Good. Okay, escape, escape, escape. You want to do the 3D and like totally convince ourselves those are really uprights? Good. So, go back to the plan view, and I would take that existing piece of main, that one, I'd click on it and I'd grab its end. There's a little grip at its end. Grab that and pull it over. And we'll finish the up and down part in a minute. Let's do the connect pipes to get those riser nipples back in there. Pick the main, then pick each of the branch lines, and then pick finish. All right, close, escape, escape, escape. Start the command. After you pick the picture, the first and only thing you pick is the main. Then you pick the branch lines. Then you pick finish. All right. Then let's clean up the ends on the branch lines one set at a time. The crossing window, and delete pipe. Crossing window, DP. Just type DP. Okay, and now we're all good except for we're missing our riser pipe. And I'm going to suggest we just delete, pick a window around that the underground pipe is hiding. So click on it and delete it. And then click on those fittings and delete them. Good. Now, PI. Pay attention to four things. You want mains welded, you want 4-inch pipe, you want 17 feet. And now start it, and fire protection wet, you got, okay, then start there, go about halfway, click, change the elevation to 2 feet, go most of the rest of the way, and now change the elevation to -5 feet and underground, and then click out and click down and escape, escape, escape. Click on that last piece and say cap open ends. I think you're right where we all the rest of us are. Pick a big old window and do the 3D view again. Okay. Perfect. And now go find in the 3D view, go find one of those T's at the top of the riser nipple. I'm saying let's do the main. You could do it here, I suppose, but the main guy, the welded branch lines, branch line 5, 6, 7, or 8. There you go. Click on that T, and in the picture that says HCAD Firelock POL, click that, and look for one that says GOL, and look for one that says GOL size on size. There, that's the one. So pick standard for that. That's him. Michael?
Sorry, I was muted. Sorry about that. So do that for all of them?
Yeah. And that's it. Now I'm seeing grooved T's at the bottom. Makes me think maybe we drew our main as 1.5 instead of.
I think I did.
Okay, but we did get 4-inch. So pick all those pieces of pipe that are currently 1.5 inches. Good. And make sure it says mains welded. It does. And then just change that to 4-inch. Families connected. If it says network, just don't worry about it. You're supposed to be able to say, okay, the family is connected to a network and can no longer keep connectivity. I expected a button that said disconnect, because all it's going to do is, if you say cancel, it doesn't do it. If you pick show, when you view elements, consider following some stuff, changing the view to wireframe. No. Close that and cancel. And it went back to all 1.5 inch stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there wasn't enough room on the other end. Is that what that picture was?
It was complaining at that far end.
Yeah. Maybe there wasn't enough room for a fitting.
Yeah, I doubt it, but that's the kind of thing that we get yelled at. Erase that cap.
Oh, like room here. Gotcha.
Yeah. But if you erase the cap, you could try making those 4-inch. Go select the pipes again and make them 4-inch.
I'll make it. Yeah. Yeah, there it goes.
And now click on that last piece of pipe where the cap is and use the cap open ends.
Much better.
Not sure why he put pipelettes on the welded pipes.
Oh.
So let's click on those 4 pipelettes. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. That's 4. And then you can make those say groovelet. And now I'm mad about angry about the threaded branch lines.
Oh, because those should be pipe outlets.
Yeah. The thing I'm worried about is we're getting this where we want it to be. But it just feels like it's more work than it should be. And I think what I should be instructing you is when stuff screws up, you should at least consider, especially when you're new, just wipe it out and do it over.
Yeah, I probably did mess up on a setting, putting it in the first time.
Yeah. And there's two reasons for that. You don't want to teach yourself the hard way to get things fixed, especially things that probably shouldn't have been broken in the first place. That's one reason. And the other reason is you deserve some practice doing it right before you beat yourself up trying to fix things that were almost right. But it sure looks like you got there now.
Yeah.
In probably a lot more time than you're so fast. I saw how fast you were with all these commands, Michael. If you started from scratch and did it a second and third time, you might be done the third time before you got it patched up.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the gist of it for sure. It's just like the precise buttons that you have to press is probably what I was missing. But
yes, and it's a muscle memory thing. It's like this command needs these 3 commands, and in AutoCAD you've done that enough times, you don't think about it. Your fingers just do those commands. Now,
I keep hovering over Enter every time I finish something. It's like,
yeah. So it's important early on to slow down and think about what that next button is and reteach yourself that muscle memory. Because the order of a command, like connect pipes, you have to pick the main and then you have to pick the branch lines. That's no harder than picking branch lines and then the main. But if you do it in that order, it doesn't work. You get funny results.
You just have to have a specific order of operation.
Yeah, we asked you for the main, you picked the branch line. I'm sorry, we can't make that work.
Right.
And I'm claiming AutoCAD is exactly the same thing. If you answer the questions in backwards order, you will get crazy answers. You just don't, because you're used to doing it in that order. I do want to show you one more thing relative to your question. If you click on the welded branch line, and in the properties, you haven't actually selected that. Click on it so it's selected. Okay, now that's the properties of the welded branch lines. Click on Edit Type. Right, start at the picture. There you go. And there's a whole lot of magic built into this under that first settings, segments and fittings, routing preferences, click on edit and scroll down to T junction. Yep. And scroll down in the list a little bit so we can see a little bit more of that. Do you see it says 2.5 to 24, use a Groovelet standard? And right below it, it says use Groovelet with size on size. So if you change that to 1.5 to 24 and you change the one above it, nope. Escape. Okay. You've got 2.5 to 24s, Michael.
Mhm.
I want to get rid of the first one. Make that zoom up, pan up, and make it say none. I'm hoping that now that you've seen that, you can say, oh, I get it. Anytime I get 1.5 to 24, I'm not going to use a pipe Groovelet. I'm going to use a Groovelet with size on size.
What is the difference between just a Groovelet and a Groovelet size on size?
The Groovelet says when I see 1.5, 1.5, I'm not going to put a Groovelet. I'm going to put a Groove T.
Okay.
The size on size says when I see 1.5 by 1.5 by 1.5, I'm going to put a Groovelet on the outlet.
Okay.
I'm going to say the difference is the first one has been the standard for 30 years. The second one with size on size has been a standard for some folks for only 5 years. Because when they first started welding, they said, "Oh my God, you can't put an outlet that big on that pipe." And then somebody said, "Why not? I'll try," and they got away with it.
Right.
And since then, they said that's way cheaper than 3 couplings and a T.
Got it.
So I'm taking some credit and all of the blame for creating the names of those pipes so that they make enough sense that by magic, the magic I just showed you, you just get what you want. And then I put some options in there to tweak it to be the way you want it, Michael. That makes sense?
Yep.
Yeah, you didn't have to go reinvent that fitting or something. You could just go use the other version that I already made. Well, thanks,
Good
everybody.
stuff. Yeah, got it.
I see most everybody is still here. I did my best to get you out at 1 o'clock, but I'm thrilled you're interested in the next step and the next step. We left 5 slides out of today's lesson. We will do those at the beginning of next lesson, and I'm reasonably sure we can get caught up by the end of next lesson, which is to take this model that we're looking at in 3D and get it on a piece of paper with a title block and with pipe sizes and with a site plan and a sprinkler legend and all the rest of the stuff. So if I will get this recording finished, I'll get it sent out either later this afternoon or this evening. If you get the chance to redraw this much in the 60 by 80 foot building, you can use it as the starting point for next Thursday. If you're totally lost, I will be putting a copy of this drawing, this model, in the files I send out tonight, so you can pick up where Dave left off, with a copy of a model that has all that stuff in it. So with that, I will thank you all, and wish you a great couple of days, and we'll see you on Thursday. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.